can't wait for somebody to say that about me as I anchor our draft coverage here tonight from 1919 Kitchen and Tap. Welcome into 9 to noon, and rest in peace, Bill Tobin, as he passed away last week. 30 years ago today, that beautiful soundbite graced all of our televisions as Chris Mortensen, man, lost another good one.
I lost another one.
Damn,
yeah,
dude. Damn.
Yeah, it was 1994 NFL draft. Yep, 30 drafts ago.
And Chris Mortensen gets the assignment of asking Bill Tobin, hey, so we got a guy up here after you had 2 picks within the top 10, didn't take a quarterback. Thinks that you guys are the laughing stock of the league. Oh, sweet. Let me rip this one. Even better than that, Armin, might be when Bill Tobin steps up to the microphone for his press conference and starts it out with, you guys want to talk about the guys that we picked or that idiot in Connecticut? I mean, fantastic stuff throughout it. And hopefully we get graced with some of that beauty here tonight as the 2024 NFL Draft is finally upon us, and it's 9 to noon. Welcome in. I'm Billy Schmid. That's Armin Sarian. John Kuhn clocked in, ready to go. You're at 414-799-1973 on the brand new NicolaLaw.com talk and text line. Fellas, I'm a kid in a candy store. I'm fired up. I love this day. I love this time of year. Most importantly, I love the fact that we are now with the one biggest benchmark of the offseason away from NFL football, right? Once the draft gets out of the way, then you get mini camps, you get the organized team activities, but this is the benchmark that everybody remembers and gets past. Before, John, we are getting closer and closer to kicking the ball off September 6th on a Friday night, second game of the NFL season against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm fired up.
Yeah, let's not get past this already. I mean, we got 3 days of this. Let's milk this up. Let's eat this. Let's take our time with it. We don't want to just and then leave the buffet.
We gotta enjoy the buffet. Make sure we hit every spot of the buffet.
Let's get multiple plates. Let's put multiple things down in front of us, and let's take our time and eat this thing, right? I mean, this is the NFL draft. This is what we're here for, and I'm jacked up because, hey, it's been a couple drafts now for the Green Bay Packers. It's been a couple drafts now that we were, all right, what are we doing here? All right, what are we doing here? All right, what are we doing here? But after last year's knocking it out of the park by Brian Gutekunst, we all feel that way. I think so. I think we're all in lockstep on that one. Now we kind of feel like he's going to do that every time now, don't we? Doesn't it kind of feel like we just expect Goody to hit nothing but home runs here tonight? Doesn't it feel like that?
Well, I think there is something to that. You create an expectation for yourself. Like, that was great. He did that last year. He can just do that every time now. You're going to do that again, right? Like you're just going to hit every draft perfectly, right? You're just going to predict every human's ability perfect, right? Like it was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, there's an expectation.
It's pretty remarkable that one Tucker Kraft completely changed the 3rd round pick. Okay, we've had.
See a 3rd round bust.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Not even concerned anymore. That we got 2 of them anymore. So it is. He's went from, John, where David Stearns for the Milwaukee Brewers was at, where people just kind of blindly said, in Stearns we trust. There was right after, in the Super Bowl, that was the Ted Thompson.
Absolutely.
In Ted we trust.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these guys that he's going to end up taking. Probably going to take a couple of D2 cats, a couple of guys from a small school that no one else has heard of playing at, William and Mary, and he's going to be damn near a Hall of Famer, right? Like you start saying, hands up, palms up emoji. I'll see it in October. I don't know that Goody is quite there yet, but it seems like people just want to go all in on that side of it.
This last draft really convinced us because we've spent years validating Goody's picks and how you really are only expecting, a handful of starters out of a draft. I mean,
barely a handful of starters. Because I mean, like you started looking at his first, 3 or 4 drafts. It was Jair Alexander, Elton Jenkins, Rashawn Gary, and no one else really on the football team.
Yeah. And we were making cases for Josiah DeGuara, why we just don't know about him yet. But in one draft, you can see the potential of what one draft can do. And with 11 picks this year, there's all kinds of room for excitement. Trades up, trades down, trades in and out. And you never know what Goody's going to do because it's a little different than Ted Thompson. I mean, you talked about it, Billy. You could get a guy from William and Mary. You could get a guy here, name a bunch of players you've never heard of before. Like, who's heard of Jordy Nelson before we drafted him?
He's a good
no
player,
offense,
but like,
Jordy.
it was
Somewhere
exactly
out there,
it.
nobody heard of me even after I was picked up, for 2 years in the NFL. So, I mean, I'm not saying anything. Nobody knew of Jordy Nelson before he got drafted by the Packers, and he was unbelievable. That's the way Ted worked. Goody a little different, man. He takes some shots. We got a lot of Georgia players. He's not afraid to go big school multiple times, big names. He's not afraid to do it. And I'm fascinated by the 11 picks here. And I'm fascinated by the first round, Billy, because I don't know. I don't know if we end up picking the 25th pick in the draft tonight.
Well, that has been his MO. 5 out of the 6 drafts that he has gone, he has moved in the first round. We've heard Matt Schneidman say that to us a bunch of different times, whether it's up, down, and down seems to be even more of a possibility because the consensus is there's about 24 to 26 first round grades, give or take. And those are whoever those individuals have as first round grades. Brian Gutekunst and the crew up in Green Bay might have 21 guys that they think have first round grades, and 3 of them, no one else in the NFL does. It all depends on where they end up slotting certain players and where they think the value falls with the board. But this morning, the board falls at least with Daniel Jeremiah and Peter Schrager, who are 2 pretty good ones doing it. Daniel Jeremiah, you'll watch for the next 3 days. He grinds his entire year for this 3 days, right? He calls Chargers games on the radio, but he is working for these 3 days to bring you all the information that you can possibly crave about a 6th round pick that comes in and why that guy could make a Pro Bowl at some particular point in time. And then Peter Schrager, who's one of the more well-sourced guys, both of them landed on who's been the guy that Packer fans have wanted for quite some time. Cooper DeJean's name sits right there at 25 for Daniel Jeremiah and Peter Schrager. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's obviously a lot of smoke that the Green Bay Packers are big fans of Cooper DeJean. That means he's there at 25. Pass on him for Ennis Rakeshaw Jr., cornerback from Missouri, who I think is a really nice player, but I don't necessarily think many people are going to be all that excited about a Missouri cornerback. And then Cooper DeJean will for sure go off to, make 2 or 3 Pro Bowls, a la TJ Watt, because there rarely ever becomes, and I've mentioned it yesterday, AJ Hawk was my favorite draft pick of all time. He was my favorite football player when I was growing up, when I first was a pear-shaped youth watching one of my first football games in the Ohio State National Championship.
Guy you were excited about, knew the Packers had a high pick that we're going to be able to get him.
They're going to get him.
They probably were going to get him, and they actually did get him.
I thought he was going to be Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher's love child. That turned out to be a hell of an NFL player, right?
Yeah,
all-time leading tackle for the Green Bay Packers for a reason, 10-year player, signed multiple contracts. Maybe not that dude, but he was my guy. Everyone's got their guy. Everyone right now has their guy that you want to see in the first round. And the NicolaLaw.com talking text line is ready for you to tell us why that guy is going to be the game changer for the Green Bay Packers in the first round. And John, your guy seems to be the dude that Peter Schrager and Cooper and Daniel Jeremiah have been talking about, one Cooper DeJean.
It just feels like it fits, right? He's athletic. He's versatile. He's multifaceted. Goody mentioned, don't just see him as corner. We see him as safety. He can play at multiple positions. A guy like that is, that's really hard to find. Last year, I wanted the Packers so desperately to draft Brian Branch, and they had it in the 3rd round, or was it the 2nd round? I forget. Whatever round it was, they had it. It was right there. They traded it to the Lions, and they drafted him. So, yeah, how often does the guy that you think that you want, that you just think all the stars align on, how often does it happen that that player actually gets picked and it comes in and it lands? I think back when you talk about just where there's smoke, there's fire. When's the last time the consensus kind of rumored pick was selected by the Packers?
That's a great question. Yeah,
Jair, I remember a lot of smoke around Jair being that guy. Jair was going to be that dude, and he did, and they drafted him. And I was surprised because I was just amazed that the guy that got talked about predominantly before the draft was the guy who was selected by the Packers in the first round of the draft. That's really the last time I can remember, Armin.
Well, this fascinates me.
Yeah, and I don't remember that smoke with Jair as much.
I think there were people projecting him or predicting him to the Packers or saying that he was a position. I don't know if fans were I think there's a difference between prognosticators projecting somebody and what fans like, or the name that fans seem to be carrying the flag
True.
for. There
Yep.
seems to be one guy that fans always carry the flag for before the draft, and they work themselves into a frenzy. They start to watch the film, the YouTube cut-ups. They fall in love with the guy. They learn about him. They come up with these reasons why he'd be a great fit in Green Bay. Oh, his dad was a construction worker or something. They come up with some reason. You know what I mean? This is what we do. And I feel like Cooper DeJean's obviously that guy this year. Even Wayne came on the air yesterday and said, I think it was with Drew, that in KB said, if there was one guy you could have, like the TI buffet, you could have whatever you like, he would take Cooper DeJean, so that Wayne likes him.
You like.
Everyone likes him. So he's that guy. Jair, I think, obviously TJ Watt was the guy they didn't get, because most often it's the Packers don't take that guy, right?
100%.
I'm trying to, I mean, even Jordan Love, the Patrick Queen thing, everyone wanted him, or maybe a receiver, and then
can
it was
we
Jordan
decide
Love.
how we're going to say his name? Like
DeJean, is it
DeJean?
Let's
That's what I thought.
decide now.
Okay.
Yes.
DeJean, we're going to say DeJean now, because I'd hate this to be 3 years in and then it's a Bobby Tunyon type thing again.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
good
yeah,
point.
he can
Tunyon.
change. He'll change it at some particular
He'll
point in
change
time.
it 9 times for us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who's the other guy
DeJean
that
is how
changed his
I've
name?
said it for 22 years, but I actually kind of like the sound of DeJean. You can roll with that one.
Well, it sounds more it sounds like Grey Poupon.
I mean,
DeJean.
yeah, that would be if he was from like one of the coastal sides. I don't think
Montreal.
I don't think they're putting that kind of accent on it in Iowa, right? Like I don't think
CD.
Iowa.
Yeah, he's got to have a gene in there if he's rocking some Wrangler jeans, probably working out in the fields.
Ooh, that's a nice endorsement, right there.
Find some ways, right? I mean, I bet Bell and Health he'd fit right in with. I mean, like we can find different ways for him to make some money up
Can
here.
we just call him like CD or something like that, like Coop or something, like have a nickname for him or something like that?
Pretty
Sure.
Pretty sure.
Because
Yeah.
DeJean
Pretty
is
sure
like
he's going to be called.
there's a
Duke by
capital.
everybody.
Well, I'm just saying there's a capital D and a capital J in that last name, right? Because it's the French. So you know how like with hyphenated names we usually use, the 3 letters, DRC or whatever it is, or DJO, or so maybe we can go CDJ. I don't know. Maybe we can do that.
Something like that. We can
Yeah.
workshop it a little bit. 414 said it was Eddie Lacy, baby.
Yeah.
Wanted him so bad, and I couldn't believe we actually got him. I was stunned that Eddie Lacy ended up being in the pick. I did want Eddie Lacy because of that was one of my first sports investments, was them steamrolling Notre Dame in the national championship. So a little soft spot in the heart for
Sure.
Eddie Lacy wearing that 42 running through people.
And they needed Packers needed a running back at that point.
Big time needed one. Yes, sir.
So it seemed like an obvious, choice, but he was like his late second rounder. Still a
Mhm.
high pick for a running back,
Yep.
as you know, but still a high pick.
And it was him and Le'Veon Bell. You knew one of those two was going to be the top running back, probably taken in
Right.
that run. How about this one from the 608? Janesville Texter said, I predict we trade up with the Saints to 14 and pick the best available offensive tackle. That's from Niner in Milton. Listen, they trade up to 14. They're parting with quite a bit. Like there's a possibility that means that next year's first round pick is on the move, because I don't. And if you're going that high, you're going to have to be able to package probably some of those day 2 picks. Just feels like Goody wants those. It just feels like he treasures them too much to part with. Like go back to deadline day when they end up trading Rasul Douglas. It wasn't because they were necessarily shopping Rasul Douglas around the league. It was the opportunity for us to get a top 100 pick, and felt like it was too good to pass up. Don't know if they want to part with that to go up. But if they could get one to go down, 25's a spot where a lot of different times you're finding places and finding guys that could be making some. Hey, and what do we got? Is this Scott Dolphin's
What's going
music
on?
walking
Hey,
in
fellas,
here?
I don't want to bust on your show. Red Hot just told me to come in and tell you how to pronounce Cooper DeJean's name.
Thank you.
Because
It's
you're
DeJean.
Iowa guy. What is it?
Yeah.
DeJean?
Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean.
So I
Cooper
guess
DeJean.
I think I said DeJean, like
You're
mustard.
close.
More-
You don't have to worry about it. He's not going to Green Bay.
Oh, more importantly,
Whoa.
how do you guys pronounce Caleb Williams' name? MVP or bust, or what are we putting on that one?
I gotta go. I gotta get back to my show. Thanks,
GM
guys.
said he was like Prince playing quarterback. I don't know what that means.
Thanks,
We're gonna have to use that one as a shot towards Bears fans. I like that. We had Scott Dolphin
Just-
rocking the Bears gear.
just
Bears
coming in.
fans are gonna feel good today.
Oh, is their Super Bowl
this
today.
is their Super Bowl. This is a huge day for the Chicago Bears.
Now, and this is what they are all thinking, and they might be right. This could be the year that completely turns their whole franchise around. The laughable quarterback of the Bears, it may not be anymore. They could have Caleb Williams, who could potentially turn into the first quarterback to ever wear a Bears uniform to A, throw over 30 touchdowns in a season, or B, throw over 4,000 yards. in a season.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever done
Never
that. I
in
mean,
the
can you? They have
history of the
their
Bears.
they have their pick of the litter, and there are 6 quarterbacks being thrown around to potentially be drafted in the first round. Don't get it wrong. No pressure here. No pressure.
It's amazing when you think about that, really. When you think about it. Well, no coincidence, I'm sure, right, guys, that they know
And
the
a
hype.
ninth overall pick, just
Yeah.
to kind of sprinkle some level on top of the whole.
The hype
thing.
train will
They are in a position, man. Ryan Pace has put them in a position to absolutely
transform. Yeah.
take this organization into a whole new level that they haven't been.
Rarely does a 7-10 team get the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
Like that is a vast minority of times that you're that good and you end up with that pick. Thanks, Carolina Panthers and Dave Tepper. But they sit here with 1 and 9, but only 4 picks in the draft. So watch that number 9 pick be very much up for sale coming up tonight during the game's NFL draft coverage. And you're going to be watching the draft with us across the state of Wisconsin. Everybody from the game, a part of it, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Armin is hustling his way up to the Calumet location in Appleton to hang out with Zabe and Butch. Hopefully not breaking any more news on their show. I know you like doing that.
No, listen, I only break news on their show when it needs
anything
to be broken.
important that you want to tell us about?
There's nothing important. I've got nothing today, at least yet that happens.
Well, I mean, I sent you a pretty nice housing listing yesterday that we're going to get into potentially here today.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I mean, that would be
Neighbors
interesting.
would be fun. I think you guys should consider it.
I am tempted,
Sense.
for the
It
material.
would be fun. Drew and KB start up all our coverage at Buffalo Wild Wings, West Dallas at 3:00 today and across the state. Let me mention Zabe, Butch, and Armin in Appleton, Mike Heller and Nick Bruzewitz on campus in Madison, and myself and Wayne Larrivee live and in person inside 1919 Kitchen and Tap at Lambeau Field. Doug Russell, the Love Muscle, hustling around for all the content you need, all the sound you crave. Doug Russell is bringing to you tonight on the Games NFL Draft Show presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. It's draft day. Who's your guy? We got a couple of Alabama prospects that many people are hot on. Tell us yours on the new NicolaLaw.com talking text line. It's 414-799-1973. And you got us on the game. And that made me quite happy. I should have busted out the 90 jersey today. I should have dusted it off. I got one.
Yeah.
A very
Tight?
No,
Oh.
a very loose fitting, potentially foreign made piece that was
DHgate?
something like $17 or whatever.
DHgate special.
But
The
it is
old parking lot trunk special.
It's a high roll
But
with that.
it's a BJ Raji jersey, and the best reason is because there's a big old ketchup stain
Mm.
right down the middle of it from a sausage, I think before a Vikings game,
That's
if I'm not
fantastic.
mistaken.
See, I always felt like
That
less.
just adds to the art.
Well,
Yeah,
it does.
A little pageantry to it. Yep.
Just didn't feel as bad getting a ketchup or a mustard stain on one of those because I only paid $20 and had to wait
True.
2
Yeah.
weeks for it to get through customs.
Right.
You
You
know?
just sit there waiting.
So
Well,
it
hey,
was.
wonder if
but-
this charge card is
When
working
I first
still.
got to Green Bay, right, we rocked a lot of
a
everywhere.
lot of 30s.
Mhm.
You couldn't find a jersey for me, so when my family would come up to games, I would go get an Amon Green jersey and then change the back to
Cool.
my name.
That's
we did that a
fantastic.
lot the first year.
Now, listen, I don't blame you. I think
Amon
there's
Coon jerseys were everywhere.
you had to rock it that way, and that might this might be the guy that I think I remember everybody pointing toward. It was the big thing was we were switching to the Dom Capers
Switching to the
3-4,
3-4
and
defense,
everyone's
yep.
like, you need a very athletic, very dominant nose that can move and rush and do all these things. And BJ Raji's that guy, and he's going to be available at 9. And the Packers actually picked him. So I think this might be the last time there was one of the last times for me. There was one guy everybody was pointing toward that said this is the fit. Fans like him. Even Ted likes him. That converged. And it worked out. And then they traded up late to get Clay, right?
Which is one of my favorite stories to hear Doug Russell, the Love Muscle, tell about his hustling around Lambeau Field for draft day celebrations, because that's when they would still do the massive atrium party, right? And they would have, as Match Diamond has talked about, John, arguably the most impressive spread of the year comes on draft day, which might be a little counterintuitive, right? I mean, like there's more people there on a Sunday night game that, listen, pack and cheese is always good. No one's going to be upset about that. But if we pushed out the spread a little bit more for those days, no one would be upset. Doug is saying everybody's running through, scooping the extra couple of scoops of pack and cheese on there, maybe a little pulled pork, enjoying themselves a nice salad. And then wait a second. Wait, they're on the clock? What? He hasn't traded up ever.
And that was a tough thing probably
Ever.
because he's probably ready to get his meal and sit down and eat.
Oh,
right?
everybody was. And everyone starts hustling back to the room to get in for all the coverage of it, to then be able to draft, one of the most potentially impactful players of that Dom Capers defense. And we'll be hearing this a lot tonight. We'll be hearing that a lot tonight while we make the Potawatomi Hotel Casino pick of the night. The Pato Sportsbook pick will be in each and every time Roger Goodell goes to the podium tonight in Detroit, Michigan for the 2024 NFL Draft. Got a bunch of great reaction here. We wanted to know who your guy is first, but also who was your guy that you wanted, the only one that you could think of in pre-draft. And this is a pretty good one from Tom in Alaska. I remember watching the draft at a college buddy's house when they took 21, Clinton Dix. Was a player that many people were excited for because he was quite dynamic at Alabama. And, let's be honest, Alabama guy with a name who didn't want some of that? Like, who doesn't want an Alabama guy with the name Kool-Aid? Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be a very fun one if that is the pick at 25. I could see that being the pick if they trade down just a couple of ticks. But corner is a spot, John. I still think there are a couple of things that you can pull from what Goody has done in the first couple of drafts, and you hit one of them out of the park in the first segment. He loves SEC players, right? Like, he loves Georgia players, loves Alabama players, loves SEC guys. And he also goes for more of the premier positions early in the draft, especially first round, which we've seen the quarterback not taking one at 26 or 25. We're not taking one at 25, right? Right, we're not taking one at 25.
No.
We're not taking one at
punter,
25.
kicker,
No,
okay.
can't happen.
Okay.
It can't
I was real
happen.
silent there for some
Well,
reason. I didn't know why no one decided to respond.
Well, I
but
didn't
yeah.
wanna,
All right,
like-
good. We're not taking one at
I didn't
25.
want him to put that energy out
Perfect.
there, That's
Perfect.
like, let's just let those crickets. Because I didn't
What
want
if
him.
Caleb Williams falls 24 spots?
No, stop it. No,
Hey,
no, stop
Tommy
it.
in Bayview
No.
a couple of months ago was
Ugh.
saying that we needed to line up for the Bo Nix sweepstakes.
Oh, that's true.
I'd be able to get Bo Nix at 25.
Don't forget about the Bo Nix sweepstakes. Yeah, no quarterback, right, guys?
Okay, so no quarterback.
It's
Just wanna
not
make sure-
happening.
But
So
you
quit
go
asking.
you go for the premier spots. It's quarterback, it's offensive tackle, pass rusher, corner. They need 3 of those 4. I don't know that there's
Yeah.
a whole lot of tackle options there unless they go up. Cornerback might be the spot that you could get if you back up just a little bit. Matt and Lacrosse. Am I crazy, or should the Bears be calling the Chargers about Justin Herbert if they are really looking to move him, especially if they could get a package around the 9th while keeping the 1st overall? Okay, Matt, I'm going to stop you right there.
What is this? What is all
I'm going
this?
to stop you right there,
What is
Matt.
all this Justin Herbert trade talk going on today? I mean, I've been hearing about the Vikings. Now the Bears. He's saying, like, what's going on?
Well,
Like-
listen, the best quarterback pro day of all time
Ever of all time. Right.
was JJ McCarthy.
Right.
JJ McCarthy has been said by Jim Harbaugh,
Hmm.
the greatest Michigan quarterback of all time. There was some guy that was pretty decent that went to Michigan. Wore number 10 there, wore number 12 in the NFL. So I'm just saying, like, if you really believe that, Jim, let's put your money where your mouth is and let's eat that $129 million dead cap hit and trade Justin Herbert and go take JJ McCarthy 5. I would love it. I mean, that would be one of the funniest deals, and the next 3 hours would be all pretty much done for us on the draft show tonight. If indeed something stupid like that would happen. They might trade. They're not taking JJ McCarthy, but damn, I would like it to. I would like them to. But that all ends with them not giving up the 1st overall pick. Yeah, you're trading the number 1 overall pick.
I started thinking, well, if you're the Bears, this is not happening. Let me put that disclaimer.
Yeah, it's
out.
not happening,
This
but it would be
is
awesome.
not
It's
happening.
not
but
happening.
We're talking about
That'd be
something
awesome.
that is never going to happen, but let's talk about it anyways.
Okay.
It's not happening because the Chargers won't do it. But if you were the Bears, would you trade this 1st and this 9th pick for Justin Herbert? You're guaranteed your franchise quarterback. You're guaranteed probably the best quarterback to have ever put on a Bears uniform. You just guarantee it. In some ways, it's safer than going tonight and picking Caleb Williams and using 9 to build around him. In some ways, it's absolutely safer. Oh, and hey, by the way, he's going to be thrown to Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think he knows how to do
He knows
that.
Keenan Allen.
There are some things here that it kind of would make sense for the Bears.
Well, there's no doubt that he is a known quantity, at least. Whereas Caleb is still an unknown quantity. No matter what you think about him as a prospect, you don't know what he's going to be in the NFL. At least you have some idea what Justin Herbert is in the NFL, John. So I could, even though it's not going to happen and all that, you could talk yourself into it if you're a Bears fan.
It's not going to happen.
Bears
but
fans,
if
I think
you-
they can
Yeah,
talk themselves
talk
into it.
yourself
it's
into
not
it.
going to happen. But if you were a Bears fan, would you do it?
And then what the crazy thing would be to me is if then you trade the top pick back to San Diego, would Harbaugh then not take Caleb, right? Like that.
Oh, no, he's taking JJ.
JJ, because he's the best of all time. So that's
Yeah,
what he
greatest of all
said,
time.
right? The greatest of all time. So then why not then just trade the 1st pick back and trade the 2nd pick, right? I mean, like, it's kind of crazy when you think about
I was
it.
going to say you trade the 1st one, then you trade that one to Washington.
To
Let
Washington.
them take Caleb Williams.
Right.
You take the 2nd pick and another bevy of picks.
Yeah, and
Then
then
you
you would
take
trade
JJ.
and then you would trade the 2nd for the 3rd pick.
Yeah, it coulda
and
happened.
Keep moving
And
around.
let New England get Jaden Daniels, and then you are now sitting there, and you could get JJ McCarthy at the 3rd pick, but you got 700 picks to work with now, plus the 9th overall pick.
It seems fun to me. Like, this is the deal like Kevin Costner would like to be thinking they were doing in draft day. Armin, that I would have seen that movie
I can't believe you haven't
15
seen it.
times.
I love Draft Day, maybe because it's like cheesy and Kevin Costner sports movies I like. Maybe it's because
That
they
is
just,
your wheelhouse.
they just set the drama up correctly. Vontae Mack, no matter what. Like I'm just shocked you haven't seen it. Whether or not it's a good movie or people think it's a good movie, I think it's still like it's a must watch for you. So I'm a little
Probably should
John,
have
you've
to.
seen Draft Day, right? I would imagine.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised.
It's an
Vontae
L by
Mack, no
me.
matter what. Vontae
Yeah.
Mack.
How about this one from Steven Richfield? And this is a guy that we were talking about a little bit with Matt Schneidman, and it is right up the Packers' wheelhouse, fellas. Goody likes versatile offensive linemen. I think Graham Barton from Duke will be the pick. He can play all 5 offensive line positions. That's Steve in Richfield. If they want to add all the competition up front, I'm going to be a big fan of it. Listen, if they take an offensive lineman tonight, again, there's things that will make me insufferable on the draft show. Packers taking a 1st-round offensive lineman is one of those things that many people that don't like me talking about big boys getting paid and loving all the work they do up there. Oh, you're going to hear a ton of that.
But Graham Barton is probably, to me, other than Cooper DeJean,
Red Hot, DeJean. Sorry, sorry, Tim.
Other than Cooper, I think Graham Barton makes a lot of sense too. But there's this other side of things that you got to think about when it comes to Graham Barton, right? Zach Tom's sitting there at tackle, and I know Rob came out with the story. I've had the conversations for well over a year. Zach Tom playing right tackle. It's fascinating that he's succeeded at right tackle the way that he has, because he's really built to be inside at center or guard, and a lot of people love him at center. Graham Barton, he can play the positions, but he's really built to be a center or a guard. Does he look into that at all? Or does he just love linemen that are versatile so he can play the game of put this card here, put this card there, put this card here, put this card there? Or does he say, okay, I have my versatile guys. They're Elton Jenkins and they're Zach Tom. Now I need a cornerstone. I just need a guy that's a big dog that sits out on that end and just holds the fort down. That's the fascinating part to me that comes in when you're talking about drafting offensive linemen, Billy. And yet it might be the case where you get to 25 and the best available offensive lineman is the versatile one. So you just go versatile again.
Yeah. And it leans into the cliche that LaFleur says every single time he steps up to the microphone and gets asked about the offensive line, right? We're trying to put the best five out there.
Best five out there.
We're trying to put the best five out there.
They're all pieces of clay that we're all molding together.
Yeah, allows you to. The Tom thing is stunning, how good his feet are to be able to stay outside, at least for 1 year. And I don't know how long it does campaign and how long he does stay out there. But it is appetizing to go and get your Phil Loadholt, right? Go get you a 6'7", 6'8" cat, 330 pounds. Don't even worry about it. You look right off to the right side and know that thing is locked down. JC Latham might be that guy for Jim Harbaugh, unless he's taking JJ McCarthy at 5.
No, JJ McCarthy's the greatest of all time.
That's fair. Greatest of all time. I
don't know about you guys. Like, I just feel like anytime if the Packers take a lineman in the first round, a lot of times the late linemen work really well for the Packers. Now this is through the Thompson era and the
they sure have.
Going through, into Goody. The times that it hasn't worked out, and I hate to say it this way, like the Derek Sherrod type situation, although of course Balaga worked out well. So you just feel good in general when the Packers that always take an offensive lineman, because you think, except for time, like Sherrod got injured. When's the last time they totally missed on a high end lineman? Maybe Spriggs, I don't know. Like, where they total miss. Like
Spriggs was probably the closest.
Like even guys become players a little bit. And I know that every dad, every like uncle, every guy that knows football in the States says that lineman, that's a good pick. That's a smart pick. That's what we should do.
That's what we need.
That's a responsible pay. We don't need anything flashy. Let's build to the lines. Let's protect the franchise. So I wouldn't be upset with a lineman pick. Also, Graham Barton just sounds like a Packer name.
Sounds like a Packer name.
Graham Barton. Doak Barton.
Now, there's multiple people that have mentioned the name of a player that I am in love with at 25, and he is on the pass rushing side. Chop Robinson's an interesting one. We talked a little bit of pass rusher. We can get into a little bit more of it on the other side here as to why that would make a lot of sense. And that would be, come on, Pork Chop Robinson. Are you kidding me? What's better than that?
Chop, get in there.
We might be able to find someone, get a Chop and see if we can get a little strip sack in here. But before the break, who's your guy? Who's the one that you wanted the Packers to take more than anybody else on the board, and they actually did? Paul from New Berlin with an A1 submission. I loved it when Terrell Buckley was drafted by the Packers. The hype was tremendous. And of course, the best nickname of all time, the Vaccinator, because he'll give you a shot. and that was, talk about ahead of your time.
I forgot
doing two things at once.
Yeah.
Him and Travis Kelce, Mr. Pfizer. 414-799-1973. It is 9 to noon. We're on the game. Armin Sarian's right there. He's going to be in Appleton tonight at the Calumet location. If you are not going to Appleton to see what Armin Sarian looks like, and more importantly, take your picture with Brian Butch, be there. And be at a Buffalo Wild Wings across the state and enjoy draft night with all of us. Enjoy it right after this. When we come back, your takes and your guys, your pick on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line, 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon, draft day edition on the game. Hey guys, it's Underdog Fantasy time because it's playoff time in the NBA. And for the second straight night, There was a winner in the house. Now, it wasn't me. Fiance was winning, not only in the NBA pick'em game, the MLB pick'em game. What's a better way to watch a Brewers game than having a couple of players, between 2 to 5 players between the two teams, to build out your pick'em entry? And all you got to do is select higher or lower on player stats. Pittsburgh pitcher last night, higher than a half a strikeout. Easy money. And that was how you make it 100 times your money if your picks all hit in your Underdog pick'em entry. It's legal in Wisconsin. It's tons of fun to play along, and it's super easy to get started. It's going to be one of your favorite apps on your phone, and it's one pregame stop that you're not going to be able to miss. Underdog Fantasy. Download the app now. Sign up with promo code Billy, and Underdog is going to match your first deposit up to $100. That's as easy as it is. Plus, they're going to give you a special mystery pick just to use on your first pick'em entry. Play along this afternoon. Brewers starting early, and NBA playoffs tonight. It's Underdog Fantasy. I'll be there using promo code Billy, BILLY. First deposit of 10 or more bucks up to 100, plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Trey Wingo of ESPN at the time, I think he was even more surprised they traded up to 26 to go and grab that quarterback and said, time for a few fingers of tequila here tonight because it's going to be a long one. That was right after he popped off the Pat McAfee draft spectacular and said, hey, man, I'm thinking a couple of one of these wide receivers, right? Justin Jefferson looks really, really good. I know they like Brandon Ayuk. This CeeDee Lamb guy seems really, really good from Oklahoma. No, it was the young rocket-armed quarterback from Utah State who led all of Division I in interceptions the year prior to. Seems to have worked out quite well.
If you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. And I think everybody was surprised that night. I know I was. I know I sat up in my chair and went, what? Who? And we did that?
And
that was Billy. That was more than your average Packer. Huh, we took that guy. This was more than that. And this was something where, I mean, I can't believe it, but looking back on it, we should have seen it coming.
Totally should have, especially the year before when I think if the possibility really would have presented itself, they wanted that guy to be Drew Lock, right? Like they had really scouted Drew Lock the year before. We're like, holy cow, they're really going to take a quarterback? Like they're going to take this kid from Missouri?
And thank God, whatever, you get to these points and you don't, you think, you do all the research and you have all the information.
Take all the guys at Top Golf.
You got all the guys from your college scouts talking with all the pro scouts, and you come to this big board and you spend about a week before the draft placing every player's name and position exactly on your big board, the way that it goes. And then there's that time when I got to make this decision, and it's getting to that point where I got to make the choice. And they made the choice on Drew Lock. No, we'll let that one go. There will be another one, and we'll move. And it seems like Jordan Love is going to be a hit where it seems like Drew Lock would have been a miss.
Mm-hmm. Crazy sometimes how things work out, even though you don't think they will. It's just a reminder that whatever your feelings are on draft day, you fall in love, you get angry, you don't really know what the outcome will be for years to come. You just don't. And I know we all want to feel that way. And I know, like, we joke about how today's the Bears Super Bowl. And, you can always feel good on draft day. You can always feel positive thinking when you have a high pick that this is going to be the guy. It gives you hope and all that stuff. And it's fun feeling for a while, but you just don't know for years to come. So it's really amazing when you think about it, when you go back and look at some of these draft picks.
I still remember when they panned back, because that's the COVID draft, right? That was, in all reality, probably the most entertaining one to watch.
I mean, Roger Goodell from his basement in that leather chair.
With
it doesn't
M&Ms?
get any
crushing
better.
those peanut M&Ms.
It doesn't get any better. I mean, that
definitely having some happy place hemp if you were looking at his eyes lowering and lowering as the night went on. But
we needed that
no judgment.
during COVID. We needed that so
did.
bad. We were watching The Last Dance. I think we were about 3 episodes in at the time, and we could not wait for the next week to come around so we could watch another one. And then we had to draft. It was like, we get to talk about sports. What a day this was. And
look at God.
That was amazing.
Remember we were talking about Joe Burrow's drapes in his curtains and his drapes, and everyone was joking about his
drapes. They got a solo shot of him and his mom and dad. And it's like, awesome, sweet.
I remember some people were subtweeting me in the media, and they're like, stop making fun of a guy's drapes. You don't know where he came from. I'm like, that's what we're really talking. We really need to entertain ourselves right now. I mean, it's not that serious, okay? We were just joking about the guy. It was a weird time, no doubt about it.
It was too much fun.
Yeah.
And then I still remember they pan back from commercial and they go right to the live shot at Jordan Love's house, and his mom is sitting right next to him. He's on the phone, and I'm like, holy bleep. They're taking him.
They're taking Jordan Love.
Dude, they're taking what are they doing?
I kept waiting for Patrick Queen's thing to pop up.
I'm sitting there with my buddy in my basement like, what on earth is happening right now? And then we grabbed some tequila and did kind of exactly what Aaron Rodgers did. Started watching some highlight tapes from the year prior too. There's always a copycat element of this league. Jordan Love might be one of the reasons why people are throwing out Drake May's final year, right? Like his year at college, he loses offensive coordinator, loses a bunch of talented players. So go watch his year prior. That was what it was with Jordan Love. Maybe teams are starting to think that. I got 2 reasons why this might be the most exciting night for 2 teams in the division. We mentioned the Chicago Bears. Add a stat that shows how rare this situation is for the Chicago Bears and Minnesota Viking fans, be ready because the biggest pick maybe they've ever made. I'll give you the reason exactly why and the number on the other side here, John.
And I'll throw another one in there. The Detroit Lions. This has turned into a big night for them as well.
Big night. Big night. And it's with all of you. Thanks to Buffalo Wild Wings across the state. Drew and KB in West Dallas, Zay, Butch, and Armin in Appleton, Mike Keller, Nick Bruzowitz in Madison, myself and Wayne Larrivee at 1919. Kitchen and Tap. It's draft day, and it's hour 2 of 9 to noon right after this. 9 to noon on the game. Hour 2 on draft day starts up with you pick your player. You tell us your guy. Y'all have one. Everybody's got one. The NicolaLaw.com talking text line has a line open for you at 414-799-1973 to tell us your guy. Andy in Brookfield. I like DeJean. I also like Mims from Georgia. I have both going anywhere from pick 16 to 30. I'd be happy with either of them at 25. Okay. As his mock draft. They're right between, I don't know, 15 picks. That works out. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to maybe go up, maybe go down. We'll see which one the Packers end up going with. 414-799-1973. That's where Tony in Sussex is patiently waiting to tell us his guy, his draft guy. Tony, you're up on 9 to noon. I like that. Okay, listen.
Hey, listen,
We want to go and drop a bomb on
Let's
Bears
go.
fans.
Let's
That's
go.
all you need to say.
If you want to
We're ready
do
for
that,
that.
we can do that. We
Thank
have all
you.
kinds of
Yes.
quarterback graves to dance on down there in Chicago. It's been quite some time that we've been
Big
able
fan
to
of
do
that.
this. In fact, I was playing golf the other day with a friend of mine who's a Bears fan, and he was talking about, you know what's challenging for you as Packer fans is trying to decide who's the best quarterback the Green Bay Packers have ever had, right? They, some people still throw Bart number one. There will always be the Brett stands that, he brought us back to relevancy. And then Aaron, the greatest thrower of the football. That conversation, it gets had many times at a bar across the great state of Wisconsin and even Packer fans that are transplants in Florida and all across the country. You know what's a harder conversation? Trying to figure out who the worst Bears quarterback is.
Oh, that's the best one.
There's a boatload of them.
Yeah, but
and
it's
they
fun.
have those conversations. Those are the conversations that the Bears have. Who's the worst Bears quarterback? Who's the best Bears quarterback? Would you say Jay Cutler?
Right. Everyone says Sid Luckman, right?
Sid Luckman is the guy that everyone says. Of course, he played in a totally different era.
The 30s.
I don't even know what it was. It might have been after that, but yeah. So Sid Luckman, but Cutler is probably that guy. And the thing is, Cutler was a mistake machine when it counted the most for us. So even though he was the most talented, Eric Kramer had one good year for them. Was it 94 or I think 94? Yeah. Can I count Eric Kramer for 1 year?
Pardon me, 1940s on Sid Luckman.
Sid, okay, sorry to the family of
sorry
Mr.
to
Luckman.
disrespect that.
But but there is a thought here, even with Bears fans, that a broken clock is right twice a day. They could, with the number 1 overall pick, and we know how they traded up for Mitch Trubisky and passed on Patrick Mahomes. They could just get this right by accident. That's the scary part with the 1st and 9th pick. You can get this wrong by accident.
It's really hard not to get
right by accident.
Yeah. Really hard not to get one right after all those years. Right.
Well, and after this from Pro Football Talk, think about just how rare it is for a team to have earned the number 1 overall pick a year prior to, trade that pick, and then end up with it. The Bears are the first team in 45 years to get the 1st overall pick via trade from the prior season. The last one to do it. Now, you could say you hope it works out in a similar fashion's the wrong way of putting it. On the field could be very interesting because in 1979, the Buffalo Bills secured the number 1 overall pick from the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
And took O.J. Simpson.
They got O.J., right.
So, listen, he was one of the most prolific football players of all time.
It was a good pick. Yeah.
People are talking about Caleb Williams off the field, not for that reason, but I'm just saying, it just shows the rarity of this position to be in.
Sure.
Where Ryan Poles fleeces the Carolina Panthers a year ago, gets DJ Moore, gets a number 1 overall pick this year, and then gets a starting offensive tackle and allow yourself to mess around with 2 first-round picks this year. They're in an incredibly advantageous position, John, where I am rooting. I don't mean anything bad towards Caleb Williams, but I'm rooting for that young man to fail miserably as the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. I want him personally all the success in the world.
Sure.
Not in a Chicago Bears uniform.
I think we'd all agree there. Yeah.
And there's 2 things to this for me. Number 1, I have to give Ryan Pace a lot of credit for
Poles.
putting them in. Sorry, Poles, for putting them in this position.
Mm-hmm.
The position they're in currently right now is, hey, they have rebuilt that team from what it was a few years ago, and they have the number 1 and number 9 pick. I mean, they are in a very sweet spot. You've seen the way that they've rebuilt that defense. They got the weapons on offense now in, via trades and free agency. And they, like, this team is in a spot right now to really be a lot different, not just next year, but, really the foreseeable future. And that is because of the work he's done. That's to get to this point. What happens from this point now, we can't say. It could be a miserable failure, or it could go down the trend of the way it's going, and they could rebuild them teams to be a formidable opponent in the future. Now, all I really want to see tonight is I don't want any damn shenanigans. I hate when the draft kicks off, and we have been sitting here saying Caleb Williams for 30 days straight as the number 1 overall pick. Let's not take every second of your draft ticker. Can we just get the damn pick in? Do we have to pontificate over every little bit of what this is going to be? Because you're going to get 10 minutes on the back end with the second pick anyways, because Washington has no idea. Do they want Drake May or do they want Jaden Daniels? So you're going to have 10 minutes there to talk about the pick that you made. Do we have to spend the 10 minutes? Can you just get the pick out of the way quick?
No chance in hell.
I agree, but you're right. There's no chance, but I agree. I mean, if you're the first pick, you've had months to think about this.
Oh yeah.
So you shouldn't need the extra 10 minutes.
They've said they're installing the offense with him. They say, we're going to continue our installs. Next time he's in town. Wait, hold on.
And how come
he's not even on the roster?
And
yet.
you said you were annoyed when Williams was rumored the night before to have signed his contract with Houston, and Reggie Bush was not going to be taken first overall.
Yep.
That ruined it for you guys.
Yes.
This is just as bad. This is actually worse, because now we have to wait potentially 10 minutes for them to just announce the inevitable.
Yeah, at least 10 minutes.
Well, once the pick is in, they also don't announce it for
because they got to print the jersey.
I know they
got to screen print the jersey back there.
They want to print the jersey.
Get the family over for the pictures.
They want to get some analysis. They want to get the hype ready. They want to have a long walk down the aisle or whatever.
Hopefully, it's not as long of a walk as it was a couple of years ago.
That was the stupidest, longest thing.
It was longer than like the WrestleMania ramp walk, which is like 100 yards.
Let's just get the pick in. Like, can we just tell us who the pick is?
Get over there and take a picture.
Let us know. Like, it was crazy, but you're right. The pick is in. Let's get the picks in, because everybody should know what they're doing. All right. It's like you're sitting around your fantasy draft.
Do you remember Mac
and you have
Jones?
Jimbo looking at 14 different magazines because he forgot to cross one off. He's eating Cheetos and is opening his
my
beer.
4th pick of the 3rd round, I will take Jamar Chase. Buddy, he's been gone for an hour and a half.
You forgot to cross him off your Sports Illustrated preview.
Man, I thought okay, hold on. Give me another couple of
Do you
minutes
guys
here.
remember Mac Jones walking down that
long hallway
and then the turn, and his pants were too tight? The tailor definitely fit him before he started his combine training, and the pants just did not sit right for him. So he was walking all funny down the hall. Can we not do that again?
Yeah, you could have put any kind of dramatic music behind him, and he could have been definitely a Darth Vader.
Right.
The interesting one here, Dan Patrick's been joking about it for the last couple of weeks. Like, why don't the Bears just tell us they're taking them? Right? Like, we all know it. Why can they not just say it? And everyone from the league, well, they want the excitement. They want the drama. They want the interest. There is none. So just come on. I would love it if all of a sudden Virginia McCaskey today, 4 hours before the draft, says, guys, I'm going to bed. All right. I got a cribbage game tomorrow morning.
Sure.
I got a lot of important stuff on a Friday.
She's playing bunkers.
We're taking him. Okay. We're taking Caleb Williams. I'm really excited for him. I got to go to bed. I'm not going to be up for the pick, but just know that's who we're taking. That would be awesome, just to let the cat out of the bag just a couple of minutes early.
Well, you got to figure it'd be nice for her to be able to get to bed early tonight. But I mean,
Lord knows she's 100 years old. Come on, help her out a little bit.
100 or 101. Is she 101 yet?
Something like that.
Something like that. And then she's going to have to wait till the 9th pick, which will take 2 hours. We know how this draft goes.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. All right, I have to get
Tough one is that the Packers have the Cowboys right in front of them. Now that's a 24-minute ordeal at least because of how many shots they have to have with Jerry Jones.
Fair enough. All right, I got to get to this text. It was kind of a stray, and I don't know what the deal was with Matt Milwaukee, but I'm going to have you talk about this, Billy. Okay, he said, of course, Billy wants to draft another pass rusher in the first round. He's already given up on Van Ness because of his hatred for the state of Iowa. It's so strong. Van Ness
Partially,
and
yeah.
Gary will be your starters for a long time. Any truth you've given up on Van Ness? I don't know where all this came from.
No, I was not the biggest Lucas Van Ness fan coming out of the draft process last year. That was while I was doing the show with Mike last year. He was like the one guy I said, I'd stay away from him. Of course it was the pick at 13, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I think that Lucas Van Ness can't play. I think that if you add another dynamic guy with his hand in the dirt around him,
sure.
we talk about it a lot. These guys are going to play, right? Like, I mean, with an Agbare's injury, he's not going to be available all year long. Rashawn Gary is going to be your number one guy. He's going to play, John, 65% of the snaps probably, while also transitioning to more of his hand in the dirt. And for me, you put Jared Verse here with those heavy hands, being able to absolutely drive guys back. Reminds me of a younger version of Preston Smith. Big, heavy hands, going to set a beautiful edge on the side and get you 8 or 9 sacks a year. But Chop Robinson's athleticism on the outside, I mean, you're talking freak show speed, by far the best 10-yard split out of any defensive end or linebacker. Like, that's a hard one for me to see and say, yeah, that wouldn't do a lot of good on this lineup with Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness.
I remember talking with Goody after he went and scouted Penn State Michigan game this year, and just how many professional players were on that field, like guys ready to play now, and Chop is one of them. And you know, you got to think that a guy like that playing against, you know, Michigan, he was getting work against guys that are also going to be playing in the league. So those are guys that you expect to come in and be able to contribute right away. There aren't many guys like this is the reason why I honestly, Billy, I try never to project who the Packers are going to pick and if it's going to be good or bad.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Because quite frankly, there are guys that I think are awesome in college, and then they come to the NFL, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work. A lot of times it comes down to the difference in the college game to the pro game is professional level. It's your job and you put everything into it. And in college, it's kind of your job, but it's also kind of a hobby because you have so many other things to do. The talent isn't as good. So you can get away with your talents in college. You can't do that in the NFL. You have to tackle it and you got to dive in. And there are guys that in college just look like guys because they don't have the time to dedicate and put into it like they can in the NFL. Then they come to the NFL and they exceed all kinds of expectations. I feel like the Packers have been great at that, getting players that can maximize their potential and exceed expectations. When there are guys that go to other teams and because of those reasons, and there have been some in Green Bay, they don't ever reach their maximum potential because there are measurables that you cannot find in a player, talking about heart, talking about time, commitment, talking about the way that they're going to gel with the other players in the locker room, even the coaching staff. So it's hard to project what these guys are going to turn out and turn into. But I think Lucas Van Ness is going to end up being some guy that we're like, holy, look at what this guy's turned into.
I am so excited to be wrong about that one, right? Like, and then all of a sudden you throw the pads on and see just how good he looks in pads. Like, I mean, that's another part of it. But like, John, you mentioned all those intangible things. It's what people are falling in love with JJ McCarthy about. And you hear it with certain players in certain spots, but it's the toughest part of this inexact science of drafting players. How on earth am I supposed to know what this dude's level of dedication will be when he's outside of the incubator of college, right? When he's outside of having 4 people inside the dormitory that can go wake him up for practice if necessary, right? Like, you got to find certain things, and that love for it and how much you're going to work at it is the toughest thing to find.
And let me talk about another one, swag. Right, swag is important because swag.
Chop's got a lot of swag.
Yeah, and swag, you can get a lot of players to play on a different. Like, we talk about what Patrick Beverly can do for this Bucs teams at times when he brings that swag, that tenacity. And let me give you 2 different examples of swag. You got swag, Johnny Manziel, right? Where it's swag, but it's all himself, right? It's all about him. And then you got Joe Burrow swag. And you can see how one swag, led to the destruction of the player, and the other swag lifts his team. Watching Joe Burrow in person the few times that I have, man, he goes out there with a bum knee and he's running, taking shots against the Packers, and he just lifts his team to a whole nother level. And it's fascinating to watch what swag can do for one guy and how swag can tear another guy down.
And I think that you can feed off of that position group. You got a lot of young guys in there. It's why I really like the idea of edge rusher at 25. It's a spot where you're going to see players go through. And John, we've talked about it. They're in a transition there, right? Like, I mean, Rashawn Gary, 3-4 the last number of years, played a lot more with his hand in the dirt in college, but he was a guy that not a whole lot of people knew what you were going to see because his production was so low in college.
Okay, so we got into it. We got into why the Bears have this huge night for them and how it's, first time in, what'd you say it was, 34 years, 43 years?
45 years.
45 years.
Since in 1979, the Bills acquired the pick for O.J. Simpson.
Okay, so big night for the Bears. You said it was also a big night for the Vikings. Why
yes.
so?
Pardon me, I also misread that. The Bills secured the 49ers pick as part of the O.J. Simpson trade the year prior to.
Okay.
The Bills then drafted linebacker Tom Quizino, who never played for Buffalo, but did make a hell of a sandwich. Did make a hell of a hot sandwich.
Quizno.
So that's Quizno or Quizino or
Cousino, something like that.
What did he do? Did he not play?
No, I just never ended up playing.
I'd
have to read all of the story. In 1979, the Bills ended up with the first overall pick after trading O.J. Simpson to the 49ers in March of 78. Niners went 2-14. The Bills ended up with control of the draft. Unfortunately, the Bills took linebacker Tom Quizino. He never signed with Buffalo. He went to the CFL instead.
Let's
after
go.
Playing 3 years in Montreal, spent 4 seasons with the Browns, and then 2 years with the San Francisco 49ers, who traded the pick that he ended up being drafted with.
He got twice the money from the Montreal Alouettes that he was going to get in the NFL. See, isn't that interesting? That's when the business was changing as well.
That's what you need the XFL to be able to do. Sorry, UFL.
No, the UFL. Exactly.
This is fascinating.
That's hilarious.
The number 1 overall pick in the draft and did not play for you.
Said peace. I'm out.
And a lot of guys, when the USFL started, was happening too, though. That was big thing.
Listen, he did become a Grey Cup most valuable player. He did win a Grey Cup. Okay, so
let's go, Tom.
Second team All-Pro here when he played for the Cleveland Browns. So he did a couple things, I guess.
Yeah, he was living it up and he was having fun.
Traded from the Bills to the Browns for the first round choice in the 83 draft that became Jim Kelly. So how about that?
And then they get spurned by another guy
to go. Where would you rather live, Houston or Buffalo? I'll stop right there.
This guy deserves a 30 for 30, Armin. If I've ever heard of one, his links to everybody.
At this point, I mean, let's just, I agree.
How is this not a part of that Four Falls of Buffalo story? That should be a part of that one. Wow. Okay. Well, off track on that one. Okay. Why this could be the biggest draft for the Minnesota Vikings in years. Right. If they pick at 11, it is the worst kept secret in the league that they want to do anything they can to go up and get a quarterback. Seems like they really, really wanted Drake May. Josh McCown coached him in high school. He grew up with McCown's kids. Seems like Drake May is the one they want in Minnesota. Not positive they're going to be able to get him. If indeed they do, that quarterback will be the highest drafted quarterback by the Minnesota Vikings in franchise history. They picked Dante Culpepper 11 overall when he came out in the first round. That was at that point the highest they had ever spent draft capital wise on a quarterback. Could be doing it again this year or could be breaking it. If they sit at 11, it'll tie Dante Culpepper, who we laugh about it, but had a pretty nice run there in Minnesota for a number of years.
Yeah, and at 11, they're going to have a shot at a quarterback. You don't know which one. Obviously, if you want Drake May, you probably have to trade up. If you want J.J. McCarthy, you probably have to trade up. If you want Jaden Daniels, you're for sure going to have to try and convince Washington to give you the pick there. So who do they end up with? Would Michael Penix Jr. be a bad pick at 11 for them?
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
No.
Listen, I've watched what that guy's done. I know he's older for a rookie quarterback, but I think he has an exceptional amount of talent, and maybe he turns out to be that one quarterback that everybody passes on while they're chasing all these other players, and he turns into a good one. So they're going to have options there. How about this? As we talk about teams inside the division, Billy, the Detroit Lions in the last 5 first rounds have selected 4 Pro Bowlers.
Jeez,
that's
wow.
number one in
It's
the
impressive.
NFL. That's number one in the NFL. And in their last 5 drafts combined, they have 7 Pro Bowlers, which is second in the NFL. The Detroit Lions have somehow gone from the Detroit Lions to a team that you have to look at who they're drafting in the draft now because they turn into studs.
Damn. And they also ran through. And yesterday they signed 2 of those young studs, right? Penei Sewell became the highest paid tackle in football. They also signed Amon-Ra St. Brown, became the highest wide receiver paid in football. Like, they have capitalized. And the funny one about Jahmyr Gibbs last year, guys, while he gets picked, 12 last year, right? Early teens.
Mhm.
He ends up going. The instant reaction is, what a reach. What an insane reach. How are you taking this guy at 12? And leading up to the season, he was the most discussed rookie out of, he's going to have the biggest impact. He's going to be amazing. He's going to put up all these touchdowns, and did put up 10 touchdowns matching Sam Laporta. But it's wild when we think, that's a crazy reach. Well, is it a reach if the guy can play? Right? Like we always say, and a lot of times it's the measure of, can you sign the guy to the next contract? But if he is a superstar for you for the first 4 years,
value and everything else you
that
get
ends up being a value, right? Like, it's a tough way to balance. Yeah, we want to find a guy who can be a starter for 10 years or a guy that can be one of the most electric players in the game for 3 to 4 years.
And a lot of that reach stuff is based on it being a running back, right? Usually it's positionally, it's stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. It makes you wonder about Chris in Green Bay's text. And I've been thinking about it. He said, I just want a solid starter, not a project that may eventually start. And made me think about how fans look at the draft. Are you just looking for a starter in the first round? Because I look at it totally different. I want a guy that can potentially be a great player. I think the draft, especially at that level in the early rounds, there's great players somewhere in the first draft. Your job as a GM, your job as a team is to find those guys, because great players are what set your team apart from the rest. And eventually, that's what usually leads to winning more than anything else, is finding special players. So I expect a starter in the first round, but I expect it too. I'm hoping for more than that. Like, that's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I see, like, I just want a solid star, I'll be happy. And like, I'd rather take a chance on a guy that might be great, because I think it's worth the chance.
So you'd rather take the Devontae Wyatt situation where he's going to sit for a little bit.
Or
Rashawn Gary,
Rashawn's the best.
sit for a
I
little
think
bit.
Rashawn's a great example of that. I'd rather have a guy that, the potential's there. You have questions about the production in college, which there was. But, based on the measurables, potential, if he gets the right work in, can project to be a great player one day, because those are the guys that make the impact.
Listen,
right?
First round picks are starters, but they might not start on your team if you draft them at the end of the first round.
Right.
Because your team's pretty darn good if you
Yeah,
draft
gonna be
them
solid.
at the end of the first round. And the guys you're drafting are probably going to be the replacements of the guys that are pretty darn good already on your team. That's kind of the way it works. So the only time, when you're drafting at the top of the first round, that's when you draft a guy and he just comes out of the womb and he starts. A lot of times these guys, they're backing up good players too.
Like Demarius Randall is a fine starter for a year or two. But what was that?
You ever clean up his own You ever clean up his own house? That was what Mac said he had to do. He's got to clean his own house.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I remember that now.
And clean up his own house.
But I'm saying, for me, that didn't turn out to be a good pick. Because, first rounder, you thought he could be more special than what he was, maybe, or you're hoping for that. So.
Better than a former 25th overall pick for the Green Bay Packers, Ahmad Carroll.
Ahmad Carroll, that was a bad pick.
Was I not supposed to bring that name up here today?
Was
I not supposed to bring that up when we talk about the 25th overall pick for Green Bay Packers? I got a couple other ones that we could throw in there.
It did not work out.
414-799-1973. People are still throwing their guys out. Let us hear it. NicoletLaw.com, talking text line 414-799-1973. A couple of big-time players in the NFL demanding trades. Does that move around on draft day? It was a couple of draft days ago where we found out that there was a trade demand in Green Bay that turned all of us upside down. And one texter bringing something up about that former quarterback and the new one with the Green Bay Packers that we'll get into. It's 9 to noon. Kuhn, Billy, and Armin on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And if you've been thinking about taking your ordinary space and trying to turn it into something extraordinary, well, the time is now to do it with brand new Pella Windows and Doors. They have a luxurious look, a sleek design, and custom colors available that are guaranteed to give your home the extra pop to entertain and keep you comfortable. It is truly the best of both worlds. And at Pella, We see windows differently. We have the highest rated energy efficient products and a complete range of durable yet functional high end quality products that bring the best out of your home. Plus, right now, it's the perfect time to get windows and doors for your home. It's never been easier. You can get 0% interest for up to 60 months or make no down payment, no interest, and no payments whatsoever for 2 years if you book by May 10th. Yes, what a deal. Get 0% interest for up to 5 years or no down payment, no interest, and no payments whatsoever for 2 years. Try finding that deal anywhere else, but you got to book before May 10th. Pella is rated #1 by Milwaukee homeowners as the window brand that stands behind their products. So it's time for you to take ownership of your living space and make it a place worth living in once again with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Visit PellaWI.com and tell Gina Della that John Kuhn sent you. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
I forgot about this one.
Holla.
I forgot about this one. Highway.
A lot of guys making money the flyway tonight.
This is big when I first got my license back in 2000, driving my dad's Ford Taurus.
Yeah, only reason I know this song is from the video game NBA Ballers.
Hey,
This
whatever
was
it
the
takes.
intro song, which was an elite game. They tried to make it like a combination of NBA Jam and NBA Street.
Mm.
It was not that good, but this was the loading song, which always made it a lot more fun.
NBA Ballers. Was it the Z?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on now. What are we talking about? This is early 2000s.
Yeah.
414-799-1973. You can be listening to us on 97.3 The Game, Fox Sports 1070 in Madison, also WNFL in Green Bay. That's where we'll be coming up tonight, 1919 Kitchen and Tap. Myself and the voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee, anchoring our draft coverage presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. But Armin, you can also be watching us on
Always.
X and YouTube, and the YouTube stream. You always talk about the comments. They're it's kind of its own world.
They're great. And sometimes I have to admit it's my own fault. I don't mean to neglect them, but sometimes, I forget there's a lot of great comments as well on the YouTube stream. And these guys have got their own little community. They talk to each other. They say good morning. And as well as our
and they're polite.
NickLayLaw.com
That's
talking
great.
text.
Oh
line.
yeah, they love each other.
Sometimes,
Yes.
yeah. And you get different type of questions. I got one here from Lucas B. What protein are you drinking, Coon?
Oh, here we go. Come on now. What kind of protein we drinking?
I'm an Orgain guy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Whey protein for 20 years. Time to kick it from the whey and go to a little organic protein, plant-based protein.
Oh, now we're talking. Okay. I think I might.
What is
Just to
whey?
switch it up.
It's not plant-based? Because you
I
said-
don't know if whey is plant-based or not.
I thought that I have no idea either. I'm just
I don't
curious.
think it is. I don't think it is. Orgain is an organic plant-based. You grow tolerances to foods. Did you know this?
I think so.
Yep.
I think so.
Thanks,
So, yeah,
Milwaukee weight loss.
Your body creates tolerances to food, and sometimes they're negative tolerances where you start having inflammation. I remember I got checked one time when I was playing, and I found out I shouldn't eat tomatoes anymore because it increased inflammation. And everybody has
That's
these,
rough.
and it's not that tomatoes in general increase inflammation. It's just that for me, I must have been eating a lot of tomatoes at the time, a lot of salads. So I had to stop eating tomatoes and start switching to like cucumbers or something on the salad.
Well, there's
Okay.
there's tomatoes in
You
everything.
gotta have a texture though in that salad, right? You gotta have something that mixes it up between the spinach and romaine.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
out.
I would think so. Depends on the texture you like, right, John? I mean, I like celery, a little crunch. It's tough though. If
You're
you
putting
can't.
celery in a salad?
Oh, it's crunch. I like that. Yeah.
Huh,
Throw that
okay.
in there.
UPS Ben said whey is dairy.
There you go. So that explains
Oh,
it.
there we
then.
go. Sweet.
So anyway,
UPS Ben's got us.
all right. So you can't no tomatoes, which
Good,
is
because I was looking it up
tough.
and getting zero answers, just
Well,
a whole
Armin-
bunch of links to buy different whey proteins.
Armin hit me
online.
with it, and I was like, well, damn, I probably should know since I switched from it to a plant-based protein. That would be kind of funny.
I
But
just
don't put it
assumed-
on an athlete to do
Well,
something dumb. We do it all the time.
Come on.
Well, I
He
thought.
did back you up right into a
What?
corner there. Hey, so
I
John, tell
guess-
us about the differences between
Well, Little Miss Muffet was drinking curds and whey.
She sat on a tuffet. We know, Armin.
Curds and whey.
So
So that's why I was saying that. I didn't know what whey was.
at the end of the day, though, no, I made the switch, and you do this from time to time when you're playing and everything, and I'm not playing, so obviously supplements aren't a big thing to me, but I
Mhm.
still work out quite a bit, so I still want a little bit of protein
Sure.
drink in my life so I recover and don't feel sore all the damn time.
Yeah.
And when you make that switch, your body can feel it. Like when I stopped eating tomatoes, believe it or not, I could feel a difference.
Mhm.
No, I'm back to eating.
I was gonna
tomatoes.
say, how do you eat pasta with no tomato sauce? You have to
I
eat
didn't
cream
quit.
sauces.
I didn't quit tomatoes.
Hey, you just limit it.
I
Yeah,
just limited them when I was playing. I'm done playing now, Armin. I mean,
I was
Give me
gonna
some
say,
spaghetti.
don't you
What are
have
we doing here?
Well, don't you have Italians in your family? Because it's a lot of pasta, I would assume so. So I don't know. That
You
would be
could also
tough
go
to
with
say
some
no.
Alfredo. Come on, that's one
You
of
could,
my life.
you could do
beauties.
it. You could do it. I mean, you also no ketchup. I mean, there's a lot of things that have tomatoes in it. So I just think that'd be tough to. But hey, whatever makes you feel. Of course, it makes you feel better.
yeah, it was
matters.
crazy. So part of the deal with the NFL is if you wanted to get checked for what your tolerances and intolerances were, you go and get checked, and your wife could go get checked with you. Like this well-being of the family. And
That's
I remember
nice.
we went in there, and I got checked, and Lindsay got checked, and mine came out and I had like 5 things that were red, 5 things that I should avoid.
Sure.
Probably like 5 things that were yellow, and then everything else was green, which meant, and most of the stuff that was red and yellow were things that I didn't eat anyways, right? Like
I would really hope all of
Herbs.
my red ones would be fish.
All those
Yeah.
intolerances. You just-
yeah, actually, all your red ones would probably be red meat, Billy. That's
Yeah,
probably
right.
the way it would work out.
Steak, burgers, all the
But
good
Lindsay,
stuff. Yeah.
Lindsay did it, and she had like 15 things that were red that she shouldn't be eating because her body had created intolerances to. And
she
was
wouldn't
like,
stand for it. Yeah.
well, she told me, she goes, I shouldn't have come with you.
Yeah,
I've never found this
100%.
information.
Yeah.
You, Lindsay, and I are the exact same way because Allie got on this. Probably when we first kind of started dating, was she did one of those food sensitivity tests?
Sure. Absolutely.
And they listed everything out that she couldn't eat. And like the first couple were like garlic, right? I'm like, I'm putting that on everything. I ain't
Everything.
taking that thing. She goes,
No.
no, I got you one of the kits. It's like, you can give it to somebody else. I ain't taking it. So quit asking. Like there's no way I want to learn all of the things that I shouldn't be eating that I love. Then I started working with Milwaukee Weight Loss, and they're like, dude, you can still enjoy that kind of
Nice.
stuff. You just got to learn a little bit of it. And that was a big part of it for me, was just saying, oh, damn, my body does work better when I eat strawberries a couple of times a day, right? No, you eat fruit a couple of times a day.
Sure.
It does help more than
I should probably get
A
one
Snickers.
of those food kits. Sometimes it is the thing though. You don't want to know the results. Like some people
Yeah.
with 23.
They would have told me I shouldn't be eating those Swedish fish bags from the
Yeah.
vending machine 4 times a
Armin,
week.
Armin
body
takes
likes
it,
those.
and they're going to say, okay, no more Mike and Ike's and no more bone marrow.
Yeah.
You're going to be ruined.
Oh,
You're not
yeah.
going to know what to
You
do.
are cooked.
Oh man, that would be bad. Yeah, bone marrow. I'm into it now. Anytime I see bone marrow, I'm going for it.
This
I
cat
saw it on
sends
the
us a snap at 11 in the morning in
Yeah.
Vegas. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that's how you get gout.
Wait
Eating
wait
bone
in-
marrow at
Well,
11 a.m.
well, it was
Wait
a,
until
well,
I
it was a
get
buffet.
Armin on the pate. I'm going to get Armin on
Nah.
pate.
Well, that's
too.
what bone
No,
marrow is basically, right?
Oh,
Isn't it?
Talking text line, we need you once again. We're going to need you.
Well, pate, you're right. It's like a mincemeat. It's like a minced up
I
like
thought,
a meat paste.
pate was more like liver.
It might be. I think liver pate, yeah. Because it's
Talking
funny.
text line, Armin,
We're
will
running
you
out of
stop
time.
asking questions
Stop
that you don't
asking
know the
questions.
answers to? Because
Okay.
you're smarter than me and Billy. And
Okay.
if you don't know the answer, we don't know
I
it. So
appreciate
quit
you saying
asking.
that. That's nice of you to say that. Okay, the bone marrow was because it was on the buffet and I had to get it. All right,
For
I had
sure,
to get
yeah.
it and it was good. And the other thing is pate. Laura and I had this tea. You know, we
oh, you guys had a
afternoon
tea time. That's right.
And the guy next to us was having like pate, foie gras, and champagne. I'm like, I don't know if we're in the right place, but we didn't order any of that stuff. And they're like, do you want the caviar tea? I'm like, I don't think we want the
Hell
caviar.
no.
We want the regular cheapest one. You know, $40 each.
I've had great caviar. I've had terrible caviar.
I've never eaten it, but I heard it's salty, right? It's salty.
yeah,
it's like
but it's
You want to
delicious.
ask John any more questions about the food that you don't know the
I
answer
he
to?
just
quite
said
yet?
he ate it.
Telling you, if you are not watching the YouTube stream, you just missed one of the funniest moments of this radio program. John's face when he said, "Talking text line, hit us one more time."
Just tell us, because I feel like I know, but Armin makes me when Armin asks the question, I immediately
question everything I've ever known.
my own intelligence. If Armin doesn't know, then hell, how am I going to know this?
Curtin Wausau is saying it is liver.
All right, there you
Pate
go.
is liver.
Pate. I'm not eating that.
Are you accepting that answer?
Oh,
Or
I
are you
accepted it.
gonna
I
push
believe
back
him.
on that one.
I accept it. I think it's like a paste or like a mincemeat
Mm.
or like something like that.
Still sounds gross.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think if you gave it to me, I'll try it on a cracker maybe once.
You're gonna we get some good stuff. You're gonna love.
Yeah,
it.
that's what everyone
You're gonna love
says. Yeah. All right.
You'll
Same
love
with
it.
that whey protein. I'm sure I should. Maybe I should start doing proteins.
Yeah,
Go-
why don't we get you on a
Go
protein?
Maybe.
You need plant based, Armin.
Yeah,
Plant-based proteins.
It's better for your belly.
that's what I'm firing on up because my belly's a little queasy every once in a while. 414-799-1973. I'm already getting some nervous butterflies coming up
That's what
tonight.
that is. Yeah.
5:30. We'll start up myself and Wayne Larrabee at Lambeau Field, 1919 Kitchen and Tap. We'll join our guys, Drew and KB at Buffalo Wild Wings in West Dallas. Across the state, Armin will be in Appleton. Go see what he looks like along with Brian Butch. Maybe have Butchie take a picture of you guys because you'll look good. And have
yeah,
Butchie
yeah.
take a picture of you with Armin Sarian tonight.
Okay. That'd be
And
good.
you post it online, and we might be able to find something for a nooner that finds us that picture at Appleton, their Buffalo Wild Wings location tonight. It's 9 to noon on the game. It's draft day. We're celebrating with you, 9 to noon on the game. Mm. 414-799-1973. NicoletLaw.com talking text line is where you can weigh in. And one of our favorite texters, the barrister.
You said weigh in? No pun intended.
That's unreal.
Weigh in, right, guys?
Weigh in.
Talking proteins.
Talking proteins
All
on the
right.
game, but
All
I like
right.
this one.
Dad joke.
Weighing in with a good dad joke. The barrister. Armin won't take any pictures tonight. Zabin is with him. Armin doesn't have the patience for a seminar in lighting and setup for one random picture
wanna
for a
say this.
nooner.
I want to say that I do have I am patient, but you're right. When it comes to you can't just take a picture with Zabe. You can't just take one.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
It's like, what about this? What about this? Set this up. Tripod this.
Hold on, Armin.
Let's get an asset here, Armin. Let's get you. Wait, before you eat that wing, I'm gonna get a video of you eating the wing. Wait, before you eat
Turn
that
it
fried
clockwise.
pickle-
No, not counter clockwise. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm rolling. Armin, what's it like with that Asian zing wing? I'm like, it's really good.
Really
how Zabe
good.
is. You know
It's
how it
really
is.
good.
In a good way.
Yes, in a good
We
way.
love it, you
in the
know.
best way possible.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
only good
good.
ways.
Good.
Pates
John,
can be-
in only good ways.
Mailman
Yeah.
Mark, pates can be made of any meat.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. Anything. I also, the barrister also had this text earlier, which we got so many good draft texts that we're trying to rip through all of them in hour number 3. Listen, hour 3 is always our best one yet. But when it is dominated by nooners draft decisions, it's going to be hard to beat. But I love this one from the barrister because we need honesty at this time, right? We're getting out of lying season in the NFL draft. Just be honest with us. Barrister said, I have no freaking clue about any of these guys. And I'll likely be asleep by the time they pick right around 11 o'clock. I don't have the energy to follow the draftees. I leave that up to the professionals like you guys and have to say, really enjoying the banter today. There we go.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
How about that?
We got a compliment from the barrister.
I love that.
I'm
That's a
loving
big
the
deal.
conversation.
Damn.
big
I don't
deal.
care. I love it.
Winning.
I'll call my mom and tell her that. I mean, that is a big deal.
It is true.
You know what though? At least he's honest.
be
I
proud
mean,
of
I
Leon
always
heard. He'll tell us.
yeah, it's true. He did. Honesty is important. I always say I don't care about the schedule release show.
Yeah.
I don't watch it. I mean, you just give me the schedule.
Give me
next
the
day.
PDF and it'll be okay.
I'd rather watch whatever game's on TV
Yeah.
that day, like
Yeah.
a real actual sporting game. Not like I'm watching a schedule come out. Like I just don't do that.
As
okay?
someone that loves the NFL draft as much as I do, it is not lost on me how, just on the surface, really dumb and boring the idea is.
It's
It
super
is-
boring.
Dude, it's 3 days of older men and women walking up to a microphone and reading names. Like
Yeah,
that
it's
is what
so
it is.
boring.
It is a boring process that somehow you just put 3 letters, N, F, L. It becomes one of the top 100 viewed television
Oh,
events
yeah.
of all of the year, every single year. But it is 32 times an old man tonight. All due respect, Roger Goodell, older white man walking up to a microphone, saying a name and inciting an insane reaction. People think professional wrestling's dumb. This one would be one of those where you say, wow, kind of a pretty dumb process for us all to love that much.
Yeah, super dumb to watch on television. But I was listening to some fans out in Detroit. We get excited about this thing. A lot.
Oh,
of
I can't
Chicago
wait for it
fans-
to be in Green
lot
Bay
of-
next year.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
A lot of Chicago fans are in Detroit right now, getting ready for this number 1 overall pick, this number 9 pick, and they got all this excitement about how their team's going to change, their organization's going to change, and they got all these setups, and they got the stage set up, and then they got the entertainment set up. And I'm talking with people from the Packers about what it's going to look like for our draft and where they're going to have the green room, and that's going to be over by the Resch, and then they're going to have the stage over there to announce the names, a short walk, and then all the entertainment and everything to that nature is going to be at Titletown. So, I mean, it's going to be, this place is going to be shut down for the most part for a couple days of just hundreds of thousands of people walking around here to get excited and to scream and yell and to stand. I'm convinced, really, the NFL draft is just tailgating with names getting announced,
With
and people
names being
saying,
read.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's about it.
I will say,
Yes.
I get more excited thinking about the history and the drama and the storylines of drafts when I watch these. And NFL Films does these little 1-hour documentaries called "Caught in the Draft" about drafts in the past and the drama and the storylines of them and like how it affected history, and that stuff gets me more excited for the draft when I think about it. So, if you got people want to check those out, that might be interesting. If you want a little extra draft content or little mini documentaries about drafts of the past, then that gets you a little bit more your appetite's whetted more for it,
Well, and
I think
that's one of the reasons why it's fun to think about the moments from the past that have brought that kind of excitement to you. But the one coming up next year is gonna
like that, right?
Who is he?
Yeah.
Who is he?
Yeah, that one.
Mel Kiper is the guy that is now going to go into his 46th draft of telling teams and telling fans why your team messed up. Didn't listen to me.
I think Mel's chilled out over the years.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Back in the day, it was, they were stupid. They should have done this. They should have done that. They'd be fools to pass up on this guy, and this guy's even better than that guy, and they should have gone in several different directions. And now their organization is set back for a decade.
Yeah, right.
Blah, blah, blah. But now he just goes on there and he just simply says, I think it's a good pick. It's a solid pick. This is what this kid does well. This is what this kid does not do too well. He would have been drafted higher if not for this. He would have been drafted lower, but this. And then he says, I had him slotted about 20 slots lower.
Yeah. I'm sitting here with a guy, Armin Sari, and you look at him, tight waist, good hips. He moves around real well, real flexibility when you move him around, different positions. He can do 9 to noon, do a little noon to 3. You can sprinkle him in later on. It's a tough process to have, but really, if you're looking at value, he's probably a 3rd or 4th day guy, and you're grabbing him at 24. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's why they're taking the position.
That's good, Billy. That's
Thanks.
Really good
you want the old school Mel Kiper, though? And I'm not – the game's NFL draft coverage, unmatched. No one's doing it better than us. But if you want some kind of old school Mel Kiper –
KB.
I was going to say check out what McAfee's got going on with their guy Ty Schmidt, because he wants some of the fun side of what Mel Kiper could be if you really let it loose. Yeah, that's for the internet only. But it is funny. If you take some comedy in there, you will enjoy. 414-799-1973. Tristan in Wausau has given me an interior offensive lineman name that we have not mentioned. We have Schwartz Center with a top 4 wish list for us, and your wish list at 414-799-1973. It's the NicolaLaw.com talking text line, 414-799-1973. And hour 3 of 9 to noon features a Coons Can't Miss in 15 minutes. You don't want to miss that right here on The Game. Hour 3, 9 to noon. Brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and happyplacehemp.com. Everybody relax. NFL draft tonight. You will enjoy, maybe even more, with some Happy Place Hemp. CBN, CBD gummies. Sleepy Time gummies can help you relax and get a great night's sleep after a late night watching names be read. Or if you would like to be in a certain state of mind for those names to be read, Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies can help you out over at Happy Place Hemp. Best part is the promo code Billy, BILLY, is going to get you 25% off every time at happyplacehemp.com. So that is going to help you out even more. Rob and Chris can help you out with any answers to questions you are looking for over at their location in Muskego. You shop local for everything else. Why would you not? For your hemp products as well, happyplacehemp.com. Taking all of your draft questions, conversations, your picks, your can't miss hits. And we got a can't miss coming up for you in a couple of minutes. But guys, I like this one because we always ask for honesty. What about Tim and Cudahy? All right, I will own it. I will own the fact the Packers were right about drafting Jordan Love. But, in all capital letters.
Okay.
Could we not have drafted Love later after getting a weapon for Rodgers and possibly winning a Super Bowl?
That's always the question.
People are asking.
Like, did
Wow.
the Packers need to trade up for Jordan Love, right, guys? Like, was that the question always, right?
I don't know all the conversations, but it sounded like someone was going to take him if indeed the Packers were not going to take him. And that team may have been one from Indianapolis.
Yeah, that was the rumor going around, is that Indy was going to get back up in there and take him. So the Packers had to get up there and get him first. And listen, I can guarantee you one thing. If they didn't feel comfortable waiting a few picks to, what were they, 30 that year?
They were 30 that year. Yep. And they went up to 26.
If they didn't feel comfortable waiting to 30 to get him, they sure as heck weren't going to trade up, get a wide receiver, and then wait to 60.
Yeah, it wasn't happening.
Not happening.
So quit asking. The tough one is too, like that was the crew of wide receivers that were kind of all gone of the star-studded first round. That was Ayuk,
Jefferson, right?
Jefferson,
Yep.
Henry Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb, right? Like there was a long run of guys. The only one left was T. Higgins, who coincidentally yesterday demanded a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. So, hey, if Tim is still saying we need to go get that weapon, go trade yourself for T. Higgins and try to sign up for that fat salary that young man is going to command from the first pick of the second round.
Well, and this is why one of the more boring spectacles to watch on television is not so boring, right? You got the trade up that happened in 19. We stayed pat, took Rashawn Gary early, and then traded back in for Darnell Savage.
Mm-hmm.
That was exciting.
Yeah, it was.
I remember sitting in the Packers locker room covering that, and all of a sudden, we're getting back in this. We're getting back in this. Stay tuned. The Packers are getting back into the first round, and they're going to draft somebody else. Oh, man, let's go. And then 2020, it was sitting there, okay. And we were watching Justin Jefferson fall for a while. Justin Jefferson just went off the board. We were like, damn, man, That's who we all wanted. Damn. Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen's still there. And then all of a sudden the trade up. Oh, it's going down. It's going down.
Now.
Jordan Love. I mean, this is what makes it exciting. And it's honestly, it's why when I watch the draft, I'll do it different ways. When I, if I'm covering it or when I watch it, I'll do it different ways. Sometimes a lot of times you're just sitting there. It's just on in the background until you get close and you're like, where are we at? We have pick 25. Okay. Well, now I'll start tuning in at pick 20.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You might not be able to just do that now.
Right.
You can't with Goody.
You can't. I mean, he likes to be aggressive, and he's going to move somewhere usually. And I don't know. I wonder if with Goody, I think we just expect the Packers, like, there's still that idea that it's going to be same old Packers where they play it conservative. But now that they made big swings in free agency under Goody, McKinney and Jacobs, who knows if he'll continue that momentum into the draft here and make a big move to go up. It would make it a lot of fun for us. No doubt about it.
It sure would.
Yeah. So we'll you never know. We'll see what happens. That is what's exciting about this, is you never know what you're going to get on draft night. What do you think you might know? You never know what you're going to get. So,
well, and we played Brian on Monday when he was talking to the assembled media, and John, we appropriately said, because it was true, there's not a whole lot there, right? He's not going to tell you anything. He's not going to tip his hand. He's not going to give you a real hint as to what they're doing, who they're taking, who they're targeting. But there was one thing that I did really like that he mentioned, and it was, I think, in response to maybe one of Ryan Wood's questions, where he talked about being like one or two players away. That's a dangerous thought to think of. Just thinking like you're 1 to 2 players
Sure.
away. He's like, you always got to continue to bring in as much competition as you can across the roster. That's why I could see them going at a position that maybe we're not anticipating. Like a couple of Texers, Travis and Greenfield and Tristan and Wassoff both mentioned Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, JPJ, center. Now he's going to play center, right? Like there is the Graham Barton name that we brought up a little earlier from Duke. He could play center. He could definitely play tackle. A lot of teams think that he's going to be better at tackle. A lot of teams think he's better at center. JPJ is going to play center. And that would be the competition for one Josh Myers, who is going into the final year of his contract, and they haven't agreed to an extension yet. Maybe there is one coming on the horizon, but like there's one thing I know he likes to do, John, and that is bring in competition, whether that is a shoe that you think is the one that easily fits, or you got to shoehorn it in there a little bit to be able to bring some of the competition. I think they're not only thinking of the center spot, but I wonder how much of this is also to push Sean Ryan for that right guard spot, which is kind of wide open right now.
You bring up the 1 or 2 players away. The only people that think that is people outside the building. You and I, fans, people watching from afar. Coaches don't think they're 1 or 2 players away. Coaches think they can win every damn game.
Yeah.
Coaches are sitting out there. I'm gonna, and maybe they know that it's an uphill climb, but hey, let's find a way to win these games, and they all believe that they can. And then the general managers, they're not thinking 1 or 2 players away. They're thinking 2 or 3 years down the road. They're always thinking, how do I put players on this team that are going to become great players eventually, with the great players that are already here that have become the great players, and they are always working on that future process. So never does a team or an organization just say, we're just 1 or 2 players away. I mean, that notion got thrown out there after the 2019 NFC Championship game with the Packers. There's not a person on that team that doesn't think, man, had we gotten them at home, maybe at Lambeau, maybe it would have gone differently. I mean, that's the way most of the players on that team, coaches on that team, general managers feel about the way that thing went down. So, yeah, that's it. Nobody inside the building is thinking that 1 or 2 players away.
And I get it. In reality, that whole idea is so many. There's so many fallacies to that whole theory of the logic of 1 player away, because so often NFL games are not just decided on 1 player, like they are decided on 1 play, but it comes from anywhere. Can come from a bounce of a ball from anywhere. It can come from a lot of different scenarios. The margins are thin. So, the idea that you plug 1 player in like a computer and it adds that type of computer, these are games that have a lot of, random occurrences or injuries that occur during the year or changes in performance. So,
and how your team comes together, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
all of those things that you can't measure and you can't put a stat on of.
Right.
That team at the end of the year, when they went to San Francisco, was playing for each other. And you can see it when it's happening, and I think you can always see it when it's not. It was clear that they had a different type of momentum about each other, and that's a dangerous thing once you get into the NFL and you get into those games.
And that can be related to this year's draft when you look at New England sitting there at number 3. Really, when you talk about 1 or 2, well, they need a quarterback. But you also need they need a lot of other pieces.
Yeah.
So they could potentially, even though they need a quarterback, trade that pick to a team that is looking at the quarterback and the quarterback only, i.e. a Minnesota Vikings team.
Mm-hmm.
They could trade that, get multiple assets, and continue to try and build their team while taking a quarterback later in this year's draft or even the second round of this year's draft. So you watched it, and that's what it's called, building a team versus building a player and trying to change things right away.
That's A1. And I'll say this, like the couple of hopes that I have, I really hope the Vikings spend big to go up and get this quarterback, because the way it's looking more and more, they might be able to get him at 11, right? Like if they really, really want JJ McCarthy, they might be able to get him at 11, but I want to see them trade both of those 1st round picks.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them have 2 top 20 picks, 25 picks, and then go into this year with that. I'd prefer them mortgage a lot of the future to go get him. Schwartz said, my super uninformed, zero research draft wish list. Big fan of that. Trade up a few spots to draft Amarius Mims. Number 2, Cooper DeJean. Every other Packer fan has him at number 1, but we won't hate you for it. Number 3, Kool-Aid McKinstry. How can you not with that name? And this is a name that is fascinating trade back and draft defensive end Latu Latu. Latu Latu would be, as he says, a total Ted Thompson pick, injury defensive end from the Pac-12. Latu might be the best pure rusher in this draft. Like, you watch him play and you say, yeah, he knows how to beat a guy off a rush, all 5 different paths, John. But my man was medically retired by the University of Washington and then fought like 5 different times, 4 or 5 different doctors to try and get himself cleared, transferred to UCLA, was a savage on the field, and is, like I've said, I think he's the best pure rusher of it. But that injury history is one that is remarkably difficult to go through. However, it has been something Ted Thompson has not always been shy of, still swinging for the fence when he was in charge. And Goody will always say, I got a little Ted Thompson in me. Would that one surprise you with that massive medical red flag right there, or history going back to it?
Again, I'd like to say yes. I would like to say yes. But I mean, if the reports are, if he is the maybe most dynamic pass rusher in the draft, and he happens to be at 25, 26, somewhere around there, yeah, I could see that happening. I tend not to get surprised as to what happens during the draft. I tend not to get surprised when teams screw it up, and I tend not to get surprised when teams, take picks and take reaches and they turn out to work for them. I want to get to, you think they can get JJ McCarthy, the Vikings, that is at 11? You think that could potentially happen?
I kind of think so. Like,
really?
The more and more it seems that there's a lot of Arizona, I think, wants to take Marvin Harrison. I think the Chargers want to take a tackle, but then again, somebody's going to get an itchy trigger finger because your guy Sean Payton might want one too.
I'm telling you, you got the Giants there. You got and I know you say Billy Jeans, you got the Titans there. If JJ McCarthy is this highly touted, I mean, the Falcons could be potential traders out of 8 if somebody needs JJ McCarthy. Like, what if the Raiders say, okay, we need JJ McCarthy? They could leapfrog the Vikings to get in. I could see that very quickly happening as well. I could see the Seahawks trading up, to like the 10th spot or the 9th spot to get JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
If the hype is real, if that many teams love JJ McCarthy like that, I don't know if he's going to last. I think we're going to see 4 quarterbacks by 11.
And still, my favorite guy to watch play quarterback in this draft has been Michael Penix. When I've watched him throw the football, I still think he is my favorite guy to watch throw the football. Like, he is still as precise, and when the pocket is clean, better than any other one. He is going to end up in a really good spot. Like, he is either going to end up in Las Vegas getting to throw to Devontae Adams. That works. That'll play. Or, John, he's going to end up out in Denver with your guy Sean Payton. Or, and the biggest wild card out of all of this, he'll be the successor to Matthew Stafford in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by any of those. And I wouldn't be surprised if all 6 quarterbacks are taken in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Nix would be the one that I would say, maybe.
Yeah, might not.
Maybe very early. Maybe very early in the second round he gets picked there. So I wouldn't be surprised if all 6 of them get picked, because you can make a claim for a lot of these teams that they need to go up there and get them, and they need to get them now.
And it's easy for these teams to convince themselves that the quarterback is the only thing holding them back.
Sure.
I mean, like, Armin, you mentioned it, of the margins are so narrow and thin. They say, well, if we didn't have Russ throwing in the first 6 weeks, maybe we were a playoff team, right? If you're the Denver Broncos, maybe if you're the Raiders, saying, if we really didn't have to go to Aiden O'Connell for 7 weeks, maybe Antonio Pierce is in the playoffs as the interim head coach. You don't necessarily know. The one thing we do know is that when you go to Potawatomi Hotel Casino Sportsbook, you're going to have yourself a whale of a time, especially when you're following this.
Just over a week, that's all the time you have to make it down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook and take a peek behind the curtain, because in just over a week, May the 3rd, that is, to be precise, they are going to tear down that curtain, cut the ribbon, and allow all of us into that enormous sportsbook, biggest sportsbook outside of Vegas, with a 2,000 square foot LED screen. It is going to be the best place to watch any sporting event. It's not just to go down there and make picks in the book. It's to go watch and enjoy at the book. A stadium experience without going to the stadium. A stadium experience without paying stadium prices.
Yes.
That is the key. And the
Winner.
food and drinks are obscenely affordable at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. Good food too. Coon Dogs. I highly suggest it. What do you got to say, Armin?
Well, my thing is this.
Just
Okay?
one thing.
If you heard Justin Arnett yesterday, who joined us from Potawatomi, the excitement in his voice, he was like a kid on Christmas morning talking about what was going to happen. And you know it's genuine when it's coming from Justin. So that made me excited. So it should make you excited too. That's all I'm going to say. If you heard the excitement in his voice, man.
Justin, he's like George Washington, never told a lie.
That's right. Exactly. Right there. And he was like, marketing's not going to like this, but I'm just going to tell you, we might have UFC.
Yeah, he
and
did drop
boxing.
a couple of things he was
How
not
about
supposed to.
And I love that about him. That's why I love when
It's
we have
awesome.
him on.
I
It's
love
so
when
much fun.
people say things they're not supposed to say. Pause. That doesn't happen ever in the world today.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Hey, sometimes we just need that. We need that.
We got to celebrate it when it
truthfulness.
happens.
Yeah. Pause. Yesterday, I'm gonna tell you another truth. The Heat and Celtics over 204. That was my can't miss, and that came absolutely through. And
Yep, you
and
spiked
the Heat
that.
came through as winners, outright winners. Who knew
How about
that was going to happen? That the 8th seed without Jimmy the star players that are out of these NBA playoffs and teams still finding ways to compete and win is fascinating to me in the way this thing is rolling out. Nonetheless, here you go. The Celtics, number 1 seed.
Number
in the
1
East.
seed. Are they freaking out?
They lose home court. They
yeah.
lose home court advantage now, Armin.
They lose home court. Oh, they're 1-1 now. I don't know if they're freaking out. Is their Twitter?
Jason Tatum
Celtics Twitter-
spiked the ball. I think he's quitting basketball.
Maybe
after
he's
that.
quitting. Maybe they're going to clean house. I mean,
It's
maybe
clear.
it was a disaster of a signing. It was a disaster of a trade. I mean, are they freaking out and everyone's freaking out here because it's 1-1?
What, the
I wonder-
Porzingis trade? Is that what you're talking
Is
about?
Stephen A. Smith going to roll up? Well, Drew
The
or
Drew
Porzingis?
Holiday trade?
Is Stephen A. Smith rolling up today on TV talking about how they all got to go to the Knicks today? Hey, they're going to break up the team, man.
Yeah, he hasn't gone with the Knicks yet.
What a disaster that's been. No, they're probably going to get swept. Gentlemen's sweep. That's what I heard after the Bucks went 1-1. It's probably the same thing in Boston, right? It's
Yeah.
probably the same narrative. Oh, probably not. Just think that's interesting. Sorry to
Here's the problem.
hijack the
This is
segment
what
here.
happened to the Celtics last night. They didn't shoot enough 3-pointers. Only, I think,
23 threes for the Heat
Yeah.
they made. Yeah.
well, the 20. Yeah, that's what the Heat made. I'm
But-
talking
but
about the Celtics.
I know,
They
I
didn't
know.
shoot enough. They live by the 3, die by the
What
3.
was the
That's
number?
new NBA.
Yeah. What was the number, John, on attempted threes for the
I think
Celtics?
32.
So you're not
It
even
was
close. I'm going to win that bet from you. I can't
Just
wait.
the other, I just told you the stat yesterday from game 1, 49. You were shaking in your boots. You were like, it's going to happen in game 2 already.
I know, but my narrative changed. It didn't happen in game 2, so my narrative changed.
It's going to happen.
And what if
You
they
know it's
lose?
going to happen. 52 3-point attempts. That's all
Will
we
you
need.
take a cash out? Will you take
And
a
in
cash
this
out?
year's in this new NBA, 52 threes is going to happen. They live by a 3, they die by 3. I still
Right.
don't understand. I want to see one team go out there and say, we're not going to let you shoot 1 3-point. I just want to see one game where they say we're going to cover the 3-point line, and if you're going to shoot a 3, it's
Line
going to
up
be
the
it's going to be a yeet ball.
Yeet ball.
If you beat us with the dribble or a backdoor cut and get a layup, okay, maybe we'll start fouling you and make you shoot free throws. But I want to see what happens if a team doesn't get to shoot 30 3-pointers. I just want to see it happen one time. Never going to happen again. Never going to happen again. It's just
Well,
gonna be the
teams are going to be too scared about giving up those layups, but you never know. Maybe someone will just say, I'm committing to it. So quit asking. We're not going to let anyone shoot the 3.
I mean, guys miss layups too. Bobby missed like 3 of them the
Oh,
other night. Let's
God.
not act like they're automatic.
And a couple of
and
huge
the
dunks.
Oh, and the dunks. Oh,
Yeah, we
no.
just watched that game here in
Oh.
the studio. That was not good for any of us.
No, but you know what? I mean, we can do this. I mean, there's shots out there
Hell yeah, Armin.
that are makeable shots.
go.
We didn't make some of these
The
shots.
problem is when you hit the bottom of the backboard, that's not close.
It's not. It's not. I agree. We got to. I think if the
That's
Bucks
pretty true.
Bucks need to make more shots that they can make, and then if Indiana misses some, I think that would. What a great.
It would help
analysis.
if
That is
anybody had 3
that
outside
is
of-
high end analysis
Yeah.
right there. The Bucks need to shoot more shots that they can make, and if Indiana would miss some, the Bucks would win. High end analysis right there from
Well,
Armin Sark.
it
Let me
just-
give you a
it
high
sounded
end pick.
silly. Go ahead.
Let me
pick
give
it.
you a
amazing.
high end
Pick it
pick
today.
for
Pick-
tonight.
pick it
Okay,
today.
we got this fun little series going on between the Knicks and the 76ers, and it's been 2 fun games, and it's going to be another one here. And because of that, it's going to be close. It's going to be down to the wire. I think the Sixers win tonight. I think it's a close game, but I'm taking 5.5 points. I'm going to take 5.5 points for the Knicks here tonight
All right.
to cover plus 5.5.
Yeah, I
There you
like
go.
that.
That's my can't miss.
You can't miss the Knicks plus 5.5. I kind of like that, even though Philly's at home. I think the Knicks definitely are 5 points good enough to cover that. So Knicks plus 5.5 tonight. Couple interesting lines I saw, guys. just looking around, a really low over under in the Cavaliers Magic.
Yeah, can I say something though, Billy? Remember when we said find us a matchup in the first round that's not worth watching? We found it. We said maybe, and then we tried to hype them up. We tried to hype up Donovan Mitchell. We tried to hype up Banchero. We tried to hype that thing up. I haven't watched 1 second of either of those two games. I couldn't tell you who's good, who's bad, but I know Cleveland's up 2-0.
Well,
they've been dominating.
And all weekend, I was like thinking about that low number. I was like, man, Cavs Magic 208. I'm taking the over. Then I text Billy that I'm playing the number's low again. The Magic got to start scoring sometime. And I'm like, what do you think about 203, Bill? I was just trying to get some support.
And I was already on it.
Billy was gassing me up. And boy, I kept going under. And right again, I see it. Now it's at 201. This morning it was at 200. But you're right, John. It's kind of been a dud so far. But maybe now that Magic are home, it adds some sort of activity to their offense.
I mean, they haven't had a home playoff game in 5 years. They haven't had a home playoff game since pre-pandemic. Come on, let's get a little excited there, Orlando.
Towels or shirts? I wonder what they're going to go with in the crowd. Towels or shirts? That's been the
Probably
big debate.
Shirts.
I don't know why you wouldn't. It's a free shirt. People want shirts. People want towels. People want to argue about it. Put the shirt on. I bet they're going to put the shirt on in Orlando because they're excited for a playoff game. But that's just another interesting line I saw.
John, did you hear? Did you hear that our guy Armin Sarian acquired one of those sweet playoff shirts from Tuesday night?
I made a deal with Josh for his shirt. I want the shirt. I think it's a cool looking shirt. I made a deal with Josh for the shirt, and he thinks once he washes it, it'll shrink to the point of oblivion for him anyway, because it's an XL. Even though he's fitting in at XLs now,
and he was walking around looking good in it yesterday.
Looking good with this fresh new white and black colorway Freak Fives. He had the Giannis Freak Fives, the white ones, because he has the black and the white. He's got both. I'm like, okay.
How did he get free sneakers with that?
He didn't get. He bought the sneakers. He didn't get free ones. I don't think he did, at least. Because we're going to have some conversations if he's getting free sneakers.
Armin was sitting there. He's like, are you sure you don't want the shirt? It's not going to fit me. I guess. All right. Yeah, I guess I'll take the shirt. All right. I guess I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll take it. I'll have the shirt. He was not nearly as excited as I thought you would be.
I'm excited, but I want the shirt, but I just felt like
actually mad right now that you didn't try and get a second one. You think Josh doesn't have a backup? There's no way Josh is giving you a shirt without a backup.
Okay.
I bet you Josh has a box. I bet you walked out of there. I bet you walked out of there with a box of shirts. He probably went around asking people, "You going to keep that shirt? Or are you just wearing it for tonight? I don't care if it has ketchup. Give me it."
I'm just going to say this, and maybe he's listening, but you know what I'm worried about? It's like you get a shirt, Josh gives you a shirt, or gets you the whatever, a discount. You hold it over your head for 15 years. Well, I got you the one shirt, Armin. You didn't do this for me. All right, I hooked you up with the shirt, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm just going to say it. Josh might hold it over my head. I don't want to be indebted to Josh because he gave me a free shirt.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, you don't want to be indebted to
him. You know how that goes with Josh.
That's a shot.
He's listening. If he's
There's
listening,
no strays there, John. That was directly in between the eyes, a shot from Armin Sarian.
If you're listening, Josh, I'm just kidding around.
Probably not kidding, though. Yeah, definitely not kidding. 414-799-1973, the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. Oh, man.
That was the old, and no, I was just kidding.
Yeah, totally. Just kidding. Totally.
You couldn't tell I was joking around?
God, I can't believe they pay us to do this. It's
I already got the jacket, so I'm good. So you're good.
It's 9 to noon. Coon, Billy, and Armin on the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Night and Noon is back
That's
after
real.
this. Back
Sorry.
here on the game. Just mentioning John Kuhn. I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's right there. The adorable Armenian. You can't miss it. I'm talking about the fact that the Brewers are starting up here in a matter of moments. Freddie Peralta on the bump against Mitch Keller for the Pirates, wrapping up their 4-game series, and the Brewers are trying to earn a split with Sal Frelick leading off, followed by William Contreras, Willie Adames. Jake Bowers will be your first baseman cleaning up. Reese Hoskins doing the designated hitting 5th. Oliver Dunn manning the hot corner, hitting 6th. Blake Perkins in center. Bryce Terang at 2nd. And Joey Weimer rounding out the starting lineup
go,
out
boys.
in left field.
Let's
and
go.
mentioning the drop fly ball by Joey Weimer last night, which was, if you're a money line investor on the Milwaukee Brewers, you're sitting here saying, are we bleeping kidding
You're
right
sweating
now?
it. You're sweating
Just
it out.
lost the last 2 nights, and this is how we're going to raise it to this kind of art form. And John, all I hear from my man Armin Sarian is, oh yeah, I just saw error while I was watching a baby being born.
Yeah.
What
We had
the
birth-
hell were you doing on a
I-
Wednesday night?
I couldn't watch. We had birthing class, and that has shown us. We watched a video of it in my birthing class. Yeah, there's 4 of these classes. It was like,
You freak. You're a freak.
I'm not a freak.
You
I'm not a freak. What do you mean?
There's
I'm not
no
a
way
freak?
I'm watching that if I know that it's coming up.
She's like, all right, we're gonna watch a video now, and I'm like, all right, remember,
Oh.
Armin, this is a miracle of life. It's a miracle of science. It was
That's
all
someone
right. It
else's
wasn't-
miracle. That's not your miracle.
I didn't want to be the
Your
guy
miracle
that
comes
was
one time.
closing my eyes. I can't. I don't want to be that guy. I'm trying to be.
I'm with you, Billy. He's just out doing all of us.
No,
What are we
I'm
doing
not-
here?
First of all, he's attending the birthing classes.
Making us all look bad.
What an overachiever.
Yep.
Maybe that's true. I didn't no idea.
Oh no, that is absolutely true.
First of all, I didn't really think twice about it. There's these classes we're going, okay, no problem. And I'm trying to peek at the Brewers every now and then and some of the NBA, but I had the Brewers, Gamecast thing. And I don't want to look like the jerk that's in the middle of class, looking at the scores and stuff like that. And
No, you wanted to be the teacher's pet, volunteering to do everything,
No.
like putting the fake pregnancy.
they had me do that too. Like, we get what's going on here. You're just trying to embarrass the dads. Okay, see how it is for your wife. She has to walk.
Anyone
around.
else do it?
No. By the way, I got
Shocker.
no one else in there. I'm
Because they're
trying.
trying to get out and watch the Brewer game.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what it is. Yeah.
John, Armin was the kid in class that at the end of
yeah.
the lecture, 50 minutes in,
Kept asking questions.
He's lucky. He's just lucky this isn't during the fall. I mean, Armin's sitting in there on a Sunday during football season.
I wouldn't have been able to do it. We would have had to reschedule the whole deal. We would have had to reschedule all the
Reschedule
classes.
the baby.
Well,
You're
no,
gonna
the
have to reschedule
classes.
the baby.
The classes.
That's great.
You know,
track 5 months.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we had the birthing class, and I missed the whole thing. And I was like, I was
How
excited.
long is this birthing class?
It was last night was almost 3. It was 2.5 hours.
3 hours?
They're 2.5 hours each. And man, we're going through it. They're like, talking about, it's not really Lamaze. Back in the day, the breathing classes is not really what they do anymore.
3-hour
There's four-
birthing class.
Well, it's
and this
scheduled
is
for
the
2.5.
second one, John.
Yeah,
there's 2
4.
more.
There's 4 of them total. There's 4 of them total. So
How much more can you know? Like,
that's what I'm wondering.
I hope-
I'm running out of stuff. I'm like, isn't the doctor supposed to know about this stuff and what comes next and the different
wow, was I
positioning?
underprepared? Which is not surprising
No,
for
you're
me,
good.
John. It's more above board.
You're
Big
fine. You're fine.
Big baby's starting to hit you over the head like Big Wedding, Harmon. They just got you sucked into all
think
kinds of scams.
There's something to that. There's something to that. Yeah. There's something to that. And we had to blow up the balloon with the ping pong ball
Would you
inside.
say you and Laura are gullible when you do things for the first time?
Nah, not Laura. I would say I tend to be naive
I
about
think you're
things.
very gullible. yeah.
good.
You need to take these birthing classes, Armin. You're not going to survive if you don't take these birthing classes. All right, how much are they? Well,
It's the
they're
first
$400.
one, and
Okay,
we're
well,
just doing it.
well, it's the time commitment. It's 12 hours. Good God, really? I'll give you the 400.
Oh, but it's
Give me a
spread across
certificate.
3 weeks. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh my!
What do you
God.
get at the end of this?
Certificate or anything?
I don't think you get anything. You get the education of what you learned, I guess, right? You mean like a I did it
I
certificate?
was gonna say, give me a gold star
like a
or something for
a
sitting in there
diploma?
that long.
A diploma. There's a candy dish in there. I go hard on that. I grab all the candy, but
What candies do they have?
it's like the
Tootsie
teacher's like,
Rolls?
no, it's assorted. It's like Halloween. She's like, I brought my kids Halloween candy for you guys to come.
Damn,
Oh, wow,
thanks for that.
thanks.
7 months old Halloween candy for sitting in here for 3 hours
Oh, I
and
don't
watching a
mind.
baby come out of another woman's vagina.
Scary.
Thanks for that, because I really want that.
Dude, at least I got to
You
watch an
gotta be a-
animated video of it.
You
Holy
gotta be a
cow.
different kind of freak to do that.
Oh my God.
Freak.
What are you doing on a Wednesday night?
I
Well, if
just
I'm not
was
doing a
eating-
dive bar, I'm going to go watch a couple of birthing videos.
Last time I did both.
Oh, I thought you just wanted to watch the game. No,
I
this
don't
is a
know.
game. You seeing this?
I was probably the only guy that had tropical berry Skittles eating them while they're watching the video.
No, you weren't the only guy doing
How
it.
can you
were the
eat
only
during
guy in
that?
the class.
I tell you, I'm glad. There are a lot of questions I have during these classes. I'm glad we go through them because I'm like, all right, now I got some questions.
Oh my God, I would hate you if I was in this
Trust me,
thing.
I'm actually not asking too many, but there's nobody chattering in this class. I'm in a little
Because they
chatter.
want to leave.
I'm trying to crack some jokes or something. I'm like, let's get some energy in this room a little bit.
You would be getting a swirly. Like,
It
there's
doesn't
no
matter.
doubt
It's
about
all,
it at the end of this
but
thing.
Billy, it's all lectured out anyway. It's going to be the same amount of time anyway. It doesn't even matter how many questions you ask. Trust me. You know, and it's like I'm just trying to get something out of this and trying to
Armin's
prepare
looking around like,
myself.
are you guys not entertained by this?
There's lists. Here's what you might want to pack when you go to the hospital. I'm like, all right, geez, I better remember all this. Then I'm like, isn't a lot of this self-explanatory? Bring a phone charger, bring this. I'm like, okay,
You don't go anywhere in 2024 without a
Oh.
phone charger.
yeah, I know. And then it's like, all right, we're about to watch this video. It's all right. I'm like, all right, this is what about the lights are
wow,
down.
this
does
is
the
awesome.
detail go on how the baby is made? Do you get to see at least
No.
that scene?
No, that we don't have that.
That's called porn, John.
Yeah, that's a different. It's a toy. It's a
This is
toy.
awesome. I can't believe that.
And then they give
3
you-
hour birthing
well, we
class.
get it's
and then
more,
you had to watch
it's
it.
actually 2.5 actually, but it went a little longer. But it was like, you know, they tour you to the hospital. Then it's like, okay, this is nice. This is where you're gonna be. This is the process. You know, this is triage. I'm like, all right.
This
And
is
then
like
Jeez
driver. This is
Louise.
like driver's ed for babies, right? They try and scare you with everything, right?
Show you the worst videos
Remember
of all
the
time?
driver's ed courses
Oh,
when
oh
they
my
were talking
God.
about driving without a seatbelt, and they show you an accident without a seatbelt. You see
Yes.
dead people in the street.
Yes, our
Dude,
football
This is
coach.
the birth,
Yes.
this is the scare you class.
It was our football coach that taught our driver's ed, and he scared the heck out of everybody.
I'm glad that you guys saw the same videos because I've talked to my friends about this before from driver's ed, and I'm like, those were some of the most traumatizing videos that I've ever
Yeah, I
seen.
saw they showed us a video of a car going underneath a tractor trailer and losing the whole roof and the heads
Yes.
of the people in there. What does this have to do with driving? This is really bad driving.
Just
I'm just trying to go to
Yes.
school. Like,
Show me how to do it easy. Good.
Oh my gosh! That
could you
was-
guys just
yeah.
show me one of those videos where the guy parallel parks and it works?
Was it a successful birth though, Armin? Like, did they tell you? This
Yeah.
Was, yeah.
Whoa! Oh, you mean in the video?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they'd show that one that wasn't. You know, I would think
What'd you think of the head popping out? Just
it was wild scene, man. It was wild. It was, you know, you just remind yourself it's a very common process. It's
and you're
very
thinking
natural.
about
It
that
happens
picture
millions
right
and
now in your
millions of
head, you
times.
freak. You are.
I'm not a. I'm not a
I don't know how you don't.
Freak.
Because
What is
if
it, a
you
freak?
see that, there's no way you're ever
It's
not
not-
getting that image brain just drilled into your mind.
It's not a freak situation. I don't
It's
understand.
a little
the-
freaky.
So that being said, I was happy the Brewers won last night. You know,
And if you were wondering, the Brewers are up 1-0
I love
thanks
it.
to a 379-foot home run by William Contreras.
Could
I
you
was so
imagine
excited
the
when he hit that.
afterbirth. The afterbirth comes out at the exact same time that ball gets dropped in the outfield. Armin goes, "Oh man!" Everybody in the class like, "Yeah, it's called the afterbirth."
oh man, I
He dropped it.
don't know.
The placenta? No, the fly ball and left. What the hell?
I didn't know about that either. You know, so that's. But William just really hammered that one. That was a great.
Oh God.
He's having a great start to the year, and yeah. So
I can
I got
almost
candy out of it.
promise. I can almost promise this will not be a part of tonight's NFL draft coverage, which is unmatched by
Please.
the game
it won't be. Yes,
at
please.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
I need
Because
a
if
break.
you're at the Calumet Street location in Appleton, a Buffalo Wild Wings, and Armin Sarian starts talking about his birthing class from last night, God bless you. Go take your Asian zing and spicy garlic wings away from the guy.
They do a great job with the class. So they prepare you all.
Glad
the way.
they did. Glad
Yeah.
they did. Yeah, we're prepping you for tonight at Buffalo Wild Wings across the state. Drew and KB in West Dallas, Mike Heller and Nick Bruzewitz in Madison, myself and Wayne Larrabee up at 1919 Kitchen and Tap. Inside of Lambeau Field, we got to take a quick time out before the FCC kicks us off the air. It's 9 to noon on the game. 9 to noon on the game.
I was just trying to put the draft day scene here. You're good. You're good.
Did I step on it?
No, you're good. It's a long scene.
Did I
That was the best
do
part.
too early?
It was a pregnant pause. No
It
pun
was.
intended
It
there.
It was. Don't worry about it. We're good.
I was looking around like, wait a second.
Are
Am I
we
supposed
done?
to go?
That's
We
it.
done here? That was
It's a
it?
good movie.
It would help if you saw draft
good-
day
it's
and
not-
you know what was
Yeah.
coming there, but it's a long,
I didn't.
long
Prepare,
pause.
I
there.
didn't prepare you for it. I should have.
No,
It's a good
instead I was
movie, though.
watching some really traumatizing videos.
You should have just
during
read
the-
pause rather than let it be pause. I mean, it would have been a lot
Yeah,
easier.
you're right.
We
You're
would have
right.
figured that one out. We would have known what to do.
I needed
Running-
the Kevin Harlan hand in the chest.
Yes, is what you.
Lay out.
I was
Lay
trying.
out.
Lesson learned. I was trying to be too fancy there. Lesson learned.
Can I hear it though? Because
Yeah.
it's draft day. And not the draft day song by Drake where he talks
No.
about Johnny Manziel. This is Draft Day, the movie starring Kevin Costner. I'll shut up.
So I can't play the rest because there's some swears there, but it's a really good scene. Check the rest out on YouTube. That was all I was gonna play.
All right, 414-799-1973.
Okay,
JB
sorry.
in the 920. Top 3 players I want. Cooper DeJean, Graham Barton, Tanner Bortolini. Hey, all right, there's one Badger being named in Tanner Bortolini. We were talking a little bit more off the air about another Badger whose name got brought up by a texter earlier on today asking if Braylon Allen to the Packers, 262 texter, not tonight, potentially tomorrow night, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think both of them could potentially tomorrow night.
Yeah, and what do the Packers have? 4 picks tomorrow night. As we
Uh,
start right now.
As we start right now, 4 picks tomorrow night.
As we start right now, they have 4 tomorrow night. If we see Braylon Allen at the end of those, towards the end of those 4 picks, I'd be cool with it. I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of talent that's going to go off the board tomorrow night, especially in the second round. I don't know if Braylon Allen is what the Packers want in the second round, but I wouldn't mind they're late in the third. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where the run on running backs will go, right? There will be a bunch in the third round. Trey Benson from Florida State's another one, big, solid joker, can really run away from people, but maybe a little tight in the hips, right? There's some things that are keeping all of these guys from being the top 40 picks.
Okay, I just want to say this before we go. Packer, I could probably save this for tomorrow, but I'm going to get it in now.
Here we go.
I want an Alvin Kamara type running back in Green Bay. I just want one. Right? Aaron
Yep.
Jones was the closest we had towards that, and for years he was mismanaged. Right? Not enough carries we talked about, and then injuries this past year. He was the closest thing we had to one of those lightning type running backs. We always talk about we need the big thunder back in Green Bay because we got Josh Jacobs now. We got AJ Dillon. Can we get a lightning back? Can we just get just one of those quick guys that we can use in the pass game as a receiver that we can run the outside zone with? I mean, that's what I would love if we do a running back.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think that Ray Davis might be exactly what you're talking about. Just somebody that could be a little bit more of a sleeper guy behind a couple of those dudes and take advantage of it because they have right now 2 similar backs. And say AJ Dillon right in there because we don't know what AJ Dillon's going to do this year. We've seen lower returns than we would have liked in the second round so far.
I think it's safe to say AJ Dillon can be a pounder. We've seen
Mhm.
pounder moments out of AJ Dillon. He's our pounder. Josh Jacobs, he's got a little lightning in his game too. He
Big time.
is going to, I can promise you right now, Packer fans, you think you're excited about him now? Just wait. You're going to be very excited about him later down the road when this season gets underway. But I want a quick guy. I want a young guy that we throw out there and do halfback choice with, that we do halfback option with, that we run outside zone with, that we can scheme up all the deceptives and the gadget plays and we can do fun stuff with. That's who I want.
Well, and because that's what it was. Like he was just such a different back from Ingram when he first came into the league, right? Kamara, and he's been a difference maker ever since, but just having something different. He was a name that I'll be honest, when he was coming out of Tennessee, I'm like, the hell is it? Alvin Kamara, right? Like,
Yeah.
right. What is it? And then all of a sudden you see some film and you're like,
But that's
that's fun.
That's what we thought too, because we had Mark Ingram
mm-hmm.
and we just picked up Adrian Peterson. We traded.
Damn, I forgot. I didn't know that.
We traded into the third round for Alvin Kamara, and then the first practice we were very reminded as to why he was traded into the third round for.
Does that happen seemingly all the time? Once a
does.
year where you're like, oh, that's why they took him.
I swear to God to this, more times than not, when you're playing on a team and your team drafts somebody that you know, they come in and you're like, okay, yeah, kind of what I expected, but where's all the bells and whistles?
Mhm.
When they draft guys you've never heard of, especially early in the draft, you're always like, who's this guy? They come in, you go, now I see what this
Now
is.
I get it.
Very quickly.
We need one of those. We need one of those at 25 here tonight. We're going to celebrate and enjoy it with all of you. The game's NFL draft coverage tonight. Buffalo Wild Wings across the state. West Allis, Appleton at Calumet Street. Go see Armin, Nick Brusewitz, and Mike Heller, who we're going to hand it off to. Coming up next will be on the campus of UW, Wisconsin-Madison, University Avenue, and I'll be at 1919 Kitchen and Tap with the voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrabee. Fellas, let's break it all down tomorrow. Those are our Quick Trip takeaways of the day. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't cook. You don't have time for it. Stop by your local Quick Trip. Pick up a freshly prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal you might even find. And maybe a safety, right? Maybe a corner is what they have there at Quick Trip. I know they're fully stocked on offensive linemen too, so you can grab one of those as well. Probably not a whole lot of wide receivers. Fellas, let's break it all down. For John Kuhn, I'm Billy Schmidt. Armin Sarian's right there. We'll try to be better on Friday. Enjoy draft day, ladies and gentlemen. It's 9 to noon on the game.